The short brown-haired girl stands with her backpack preparing for a new journey in a strange land. A decorative gold emblem introduces the story setting within the Holy Kingdom of Chloris. Legendary women chosen by the goddess are revealed to be the foundation of this religious society. A blonde woman in prayer illustrates how these chosen ones protect the country with magic. Within the bustling town, she laments her inability to finish her exams before arriving here. The brown-haired girl observes her new surroundings with a mixture of curiosity and slight anxiety. A sudden sharp gasp sounding from the nearby townspeople catches the young traveler's immediate attention.
Shouts erupt throughout the streets as people announce the arrival of the local holy Saintess.
A grand carriage carries the 10th saint, Ayana through the highly excited city crowds. The beautiful Ayana smiles brightly, her blue eyes reflecting the adoration of the people. Enthusiastic cheers fill the air as the gathered citizens call out to their beloved Saintess. Internal narration reflects on the extreme value this kingdom places on the concept of beauty. The crowd's obsession becomes clear as they declare Ayana the most beautiful saint among her peers. Legends claim that even those who doubt the gods will weep when seeing a Saintess. The brown-haired girl observes the fanatical crowd and questions the intense devotion they showed the Saintess. Despite her divine status, the Saintess appears exhausted by the constant demands of her own country. Images of her previous life in Korea flash by, highlighting her transition to this world. A close look at her shimmering blue eyes reveals a depth beyond her celestial appearance. The crowd erupts once more, confirming that the person they were waiting for has arrived. Fans demand specific poses and expressions while the brown-haired girl notes the Saintess's impressive dedication to her followers. A sudden, quick whoosh-sounding signals the girl's hasty departure as she realizes she is running late. She ponders the fact that physical appearance is the most critical asset in this specific nation. Although she finds the local values absurd, she acknowledges the immense power held by the Saintesses. High above the clouds, the narrative emphasizes the significant influence these holy women wield over society. The blonde Saintess asserts her dominance by ordering the king to bow submissively beneath her heel. She arrives at her destination, believing she has finally found the fastest path to gaining power. Standing before the massive gates of Chloris Academy, the brown-haired girl prepares to enter. She reflects on how graduating from this elite institution for nobles will guarantee a successful future. She imagines herself as a wealthy paladin motivated by the potential for high status and fortune. Her ultimate goal is a stable government job that offers an ideal work-life balance and security. She visualizes a peaceful retirement, listing the benefits of becoming a civil servant in her old age. Success depends on her ability to maintain her position at the top of the school rankings. With a determined fist, the girl vows to work hard until her dream of comfort becomes reality. As she wanders through the ornate halls, she pauses in confusion at an unexpected sight. The girl's face pales with shock upon learning that the school dormitories are currently under major construction. The mustached teacher explains the repair delays and suggests that she commute from a nearby vacation home. The teacher is completely stunned when the brown-haired girl reveals that she does not own one. The teacher realizes with shock that she is Dana Roland, the rare commoner student attending the academy. Dana stands firm as the narrative notes the audacity of a commoner entering this noble school. The elite atmosphere of the academy makes her presence feel like a direct challenge to tradition. Dana complains about her sudden homelessness while inwardly questioning the competence of the elderly mustached teacher. She stares blankly, coming to terms with the reality that a Chloris student is now homeless. Long, shimmering locks of blonde hair drift into the frame, signaling a majestic and sudden arrival. Yana suddenly appears behind Dana, terrifying both the teacher and the young student with her presence. The teacher questions her arrival, but Yana explains she was visiting teachers and overheard an interesting story. Her expression softens as she assumes her role as a compassionate and divine agent of the goddess. The Saintess expresses a deep desire to provide help to a student who has nowhere to go. Yana's vibrant blue eyes sparkle with a mixture of divine grace and perhaps a hidden motive. A loud, sudden pop sounding occurs as the overwhelmed teacher's mind reels from the Saintess's sudden request. The teacher reluctantly yields to the Saintess's insistence as Ayana invites the startled Dana to live together. Ayana invites Dana to stay at the temple's empty rooms until the dormitory construction is finished. Dana asks how she knows her name, and Ayana explains she memorizes incoming student names. Ayana clarifies that it is impossible not to recognize the name of their special scholar, Dana. Ayana expresses her long-standing desire to meet Dana and learn about her true character. Ayana confesses her curiosity regarding how Dana achieved such impressive results despite her commoner background. Dana gazes off into the distance, reacting with quiet suspicion to the Saintess's unexpected interest. Dana reflects on how magic theories are simpler than her previous world's competitive entrance exams. Narrative text muses on those who inherit nothing and must forge their own difficult paths. Ayana praises Dana's humility, assuming she has overcome many hardships to reach the academy's top. Dana finds the Saintess's speech long-winded, wondering about the true intent behind her flowery words. Dana clarifies that she does not view her lack of inheritance as a disadvantage at all. Dana thinks that inheriting nothing means she can become whoever she wants through her effort. Text panel highlights the empowering realization that she can shape her own future without constraints. Dana looks forward with a quiet determination, ready to face the challenges of the academy. Dana concludes that overthinking things would only drain the strength she needs to succeed. Iana observes the commoner girl with a look of genuine surprise and newfound curiosity. Iana calls out to Dana with a radiant smile, her blue eyes shimmering with divine grace. Iana declares that Dana is an interesting person and hopes to share more conversations later. A slender hand is offered in friendship, reaching out from the Saintess toward the commoner. Iana formally asks if Dana would like to be her friend amidst a golden glow. Iana confesses she lacks friends her age and found their talk today remarkably enjoyable. Iana smiles brightly, asking if they can continue chatting like this from time to time. Dana looks stunned, her face illuminated by the soft light as she processes the Saintess's request. Dana is baffled that the highest-ranking person in the kingdom wants to be her friend. Dana considers if befriending a Saintess could serve as a parachute for her future career. Iana notices Dana's deep contemplation and playfully asks what is on her mind right now. Iana's blue eye fills the screen as she offers a soft, seemingly sincere apology. Bold text declares the brown-haired girl's straightforward belief that she does not need any friends. Dana raises a hand and bluntly rejects the offer, surprising the blonde woman with her honesty. A loading icon appears between them as the Saintess struggles to process Dana's complete rejection. Dana explains that her scholarship requires her to stay at the top of the rankings. Dana states that being involved with a celebrity is tiring and she must focus on studying. A dark, jagged tension suddenly shifts the atmosphere as Iana's cheerful expression finally cracks. Iana seethes with a dark, intense fury as her eyes glow with a menacing light. Dana's attention is caught by a sudden, sharp flinch, sounding as the background turns blood red. Iana's face is obscured by shadow as she softly remarks that Dana's rejection is a pity. Iana suggests taking things slow, smiling as she notes they will be living together soon. Narrative text emphasizes the fact that both girls will be sleeping under the same roof. Iana winks and points playfully, as if she has already planned out their entire future. Dana's confusion is piqued by a sudden, quick whoosh sounding as they arrive at the temple. Iana excuses herself for evening prayers, leaving Dana to contemplate her new and strange living situation. Her arrival is announced by a sudden loud creak sounding as the maid opens the doors. Dana sits on the plush bed, feeling a sudden, heavy thump sounding as she settles in. Thought bubbles reveal Dana's suspicion that the blonde Saintess is far from being simple or easygoing. Dana wonders if the highest-ranking person in the country should truly be this carefree and relaxed. The brown-haired girl remains on high alert, unable to trust the Saintess's friendly and smiling facade. Iana's joyful and carefree laughter echoes in Dana's mind, making her feel increasingly uneasy and suspicious. Narration suggests that taking advantage of someone's sincere heart would be a very unkind move. Dana inwardly questions the Saintess's true intentions, wondering if she is actually serious about their friendship. A luxurious white bathtub filled with rose petals and wine stands ready for Dana. The blonde Saintess Iana listens as her braided maid recalls a recent offer of friendship. Cloaked in shadow, Iana offers a sinister smile while pondering the simplicity of the current situation. The atmosphere is shattered by a sudden sharp crack sounding as a fist crushes rose petals. Iana confirms her previous statement with a chilling sense of calculated and cold aristocratic indifference. Iana's face contorts with elitist rage as she reviles the idea of befriending a skanky commoner. Iana throws her clothes aside, explaining she only acts mercifully to maintain her public reputation. Biting her finger, Iana seethes with curiosity about the commoner girl's true identity and nature. Iana rages at the fact that Dana was totally immune to her legendary celestial beauty. She recalls the city parade where the brown-haired girl's cold indifference deeply wounded her pride. The blonde woman lists her various divine poses, shocked they failed to overwhelm Dana's heart. Donna's blunt rejection fuels Iana's murderous thoughts while her maid observes her master's sudden obsession. The braided maid watches her mistress closely, sensing a fundamental change in the Saintess's behavior. Internal narration notes the maid's realization that Iana is finally acting like a real saint. Iana stands alone in the dim light, her figure reflecting a dark and brooding presence. A sudden, quiet smirk sounding accompanies Iana's dark amusement as she accepts a secret challenge. A sudden, quick whoosh sounding marks a shift in the blonde woman's intense internal focus. With glowing blue eyes, Iana resolves to see her bet through to its ultimate conclusion. Shimmering blonde locks hit the floor with a sudden soft plop sounding in the quiet. Iana's singular goal is to become the most perfect Saintess the kingdom has ever seen. The ornate academy hall stands silent and empty as the morning sun begins to rise. A tall, muscular silhouette with short hair moves through the darkness with predatory grace. High above the clouds, a voice reflects on the personal freedom this path will provide. A sudden, cheerful tweet sounding signals the morning of the academy's grand entrance ceremony. Dana yawns as she heads to school, determined to start her prestigious new academic life. Her morning is interrupted by a sudden loud chatter sounding followed by a pain scream. Dana stops in horror, realizing the chaos is coming from the Saints' private living quarters. She recalls rumors of assassins, but decides that a commoner shouldn't meddle in church affairs. Dana walks away. Logic dictates that the high-ranking Saintess surely has her own powerful bodyguards. Donna's attention is caught by a sudden sharp stop sounding as her conscience finally takes hold. She envisions the Saintess' radiant smile, struggling with the thought of leaving her in danger. A sudden low sounding leaves her lips as Dana reluctantly prepares to investigate the disturbance. She sprints back toward the danger, hoping to check on the situation and leave quickly. Dana bursts through the doors with the sudden loud bang sounding, screaming for the Saintess. She freezes as a muscular, shirtless man with blonde hair chokes a masked intruder. Dana's face pales with sheer disbelief at the sight of the powerful stranger in the room. The blonde man turns his head, revealing a striking profile that looks remarkably like Yana's. His blue eyes widen in surprise as he makes eye contact with the intruder, Dana. Sunlight illuminates the floral patterns of the room as the tense confrontation hangs in the air. Dana's brown eyes shake with terror as she struggles to comprehend the scene before her. Her desperate entry is punctuated by another sudden loud bang sounding against the ornate doorframe. Dana stands in the doorway, her voice trailing off as her heroic rescue attempt ends awkwardly. The shirtless man stands tall, effortlessly holding the unconscious assassin while half wrapped in a cloth. The intruder's head lolls back, confirmed to be completely unconscious by the man's overwhelming strength. Dana's gaze wanders over the man's toned physique, her mind reeling from the unexpected discovery. A sudden heavy boom sounding echoes the frantic beating of Dana's heart at the shocking sight. Dana stammers the word Saintess in confusion, unable to reconcile the title with the man. The man's chiseled abdominal muscles are highlighted by the soft light filtering through the window. A wide view of the grand chamber emphasizes the physical gap between Dana and the man. Dana's internal monologue screams that this situation makes absolutely no logical sense to her. She notes with growing dread that the man's features are identical to the beautiful Yana. Visual comparisons highlight the physical differences between the blonde Saintess and the powerful blonde man. Narrated text observes that they are different genders and the man appears significantly older. Dana wonders if he is a relative, but questions his presence in the private room. A sudden, sharp axe sounding escapes her as a bright flash of light blinds her. The Grand Temple is suddenly struck by powerful bolts of divine blue lightning from above. A lingering streak of magical energy remains in the air after the sudden celestial discharge. Smoke fills the room as Dana spots a mysterious silhouette through the thick white haze. A sudden quick whoosh sounding clears the air to reveal a young shirtless blonde boy.
He was not the same at all. His youthful form staggered before her, his eyes now vibrant like the sky, not dull and gray.
The young blonde boy stands motionless, his blue eyes staring forward with a neutral expression. Dana is stunned to realize that they are now roughly the same physical height. Dana compares their statures, noting with frustration that the boy still remains slightly taller. Dana points toward the vanity, noticing the long blonde wig that matches the Saintess's hair. The truth dawns on Dana as she realizes the Saintess is actually a male crossdresser. Thunder crashes as Dana points an accusation, her face reflecting the weight of this scandal. A sudden muffled hup sounding occurs as Dana covers her mouth in absolute terror. Dana panics and flees the room while the young blonde boy watches her departure silently. A close-up of the boy's piercing blue eye shows him watching Dana's frantic escape intently. A shadowy hand touches a chin as someone prepares to respond to the unexpected discovery. A soft sigh escapes into the air as the secret identity is finally laid bare. Fragments of light float through the air, signaling the end of the morning's chaotic transformation. A formal announcement in the Grand Hall declares that the Academy's inauguration is beginning. Dana sits in the audience, her mind racing with the shocking events of the morning. She mentally connects the man, the transformation, and the wig to form a dangerous conclusion. Donna's brown eyes widen as she anticipates the entrance of the kingdom's most beloved figure. Narrative text builds suspense as it focuses on the impending arrival of Saintess Yana. Yana makes a graceful entrance, smiling brightly and claiming to represent the goddess's will. A sudden loud, energetic-sounding cheering erupts as Dana wonders if the Saintess is a man. The ceremony concludes as Dana realizes she holds a secret that could destroy the entire country. Dana envisions the Saintess silencing her with a weapon to protect the dark secret identity. A sudden quick perks-up sounding occurs as Dana hears someone mention the day's lunch. Students discuss the high-quality steak and dessert, momentarily distracting Dana from her life-threatening situation. A sudden, soft drool sounding accompanies Dana's hunger as she prioritizes food over her safety. Dana decides that she should probably enjoy a final meal before worrying about her survival. Dana heads toward the dining hall, but a dark voice suddenly asks where she is going. The blonde Saintess leans in close, whispering into Dana's ear with an unsettling, friendly smile. A sudden, loud, startled sound escapes Dana as Yana asks if she slept well last night. A sudden, quiet whispering sounding from the crowd makes Dana uncomfortable as students watch them. Yana expresses disappointment about their morning meeting, her eyes sparkling with a hidden, dangerous intent. Yana suggests catching up, but Dana tries to decline by stating she prefers eating alone. A sudden, quick swish sounding marks the moment a heavy net is thrown over Dana. A sudden, muffled, captured sounding follows as the maid Yana drag Dana away. Narrative text asks if this is a kidnapping, while birds fly through the clear sky. A sudden, sharp caw-caw sounding echoes through the forest where no one can hear. Tied up in the woods, Dana listens as Ayana asks if she saw the truth. Ayana bluntly confirms the secret, stating the fact that she is actually a man. A sudden, heavy dun-dun sounding accompanies Yana's cold, authoritative gaze from her makeshift throne. Yana sits regally while the braided maid stands ready, keeping a close eye on Dana. The maid raises an axe, but Yana tells her to wait before taking extreme action. Dana is horrified as Yana casually discusses the difficulty of cleaning up a murder. Clutching his head in frustration, Yana sighs while acknowledging that the commoner has already figured everything out.
Standing tall with blonde hair flowing, Yana clarifies that he does not dress as a woman for pleasure.
Ayana explains he is filling in for the absent Saintess, while a tied-up Dana questions the wisdom of sharing secrets. In a dark, menacing tone, Iana declares that killing a commoner to protect a state secret is an easy task. A simple, suspenseful transition prepares the way for a sudden shift in Iana's surprisingly cold and calculating attitude. As Dana watches with wide brown eyes, Yana suggests he might show her a very specific type of mercy. Iana dramatically points toward the small, bound commoner and calls out Dana Roland's full name with intense focus. Shouting with divine energy, Iana offers Dana the great honor of becoming his secret personal escort knight immediately. Dana looks up in complete silence, her mouth slightly agape as she processes the absurdity of the offer. A sudden, cheerful pop sounding signals a celebratory scene as a banner welcomes the kingdom's newest secret escort knight. Dana remains frozen in total shock, unable to find any words to respond to the Saintess's bizarre command. Iana confirms the arrangement is temporary, while a sweating Dana asks why this is happening so very suddenly. Yana explains that having an escort will allow him to stop pretending to be a sleeping girl at night. While Yana highlights his manpower, Dana's internal monologue questions what would happen if she simply decided to say no. The blonde man begins to offer an apology, but his tone carries a heavy weight of unspoken deadly consequences. A dark, unsettling smile spreads across Yana's face as he prepares to reveal the true cost of her potential rejection. A sudden, bright flash sounding highlights Yana's glowing blue eyes as he delivers a final, cold-blooded and lethal warning. A sudden, quiet, chilly sounding follows a maid's apology as she holds a sharp axe behind a terrified Dana. Realizing the lethal stakes, a sweating Dana quickly decides that she must undergo a radical change of her plans. Dana shifts her focus toward a new goal, declaring that her primary target is now a certain type of fire. Dana notes that an escort's high salary is perfect for the goal of financial independence and retiring very early. Determined to survive and retire rich, Dana resolves to hold on until the real Saintess eventually makes her return. With a look of strained acceptance on her face, Dana loudly shouts her agreement to the dangerous new job. Ayana celebrates the agreement while Dana realizes she is now responsible for his deepest secrets and all personal affairs. The scene shifts to the grand domed buildings of the academy as evening falls over the quiet kingdom grounds. Dana enters her assigned quarters, though she is clearly hesitant about what she might find waiting behind the doors. Relaxing in a bathrobe with wine, Yana asks why Dana is questioning his presence in what is now their room. A bold proclamation from the blonde man confirms that the two of them will be sharing the same living space. A shocked chibi-style Dana screams in confusion while Yana casually holds his wine glass and ignores her frantic protests. A sudden loud, heavy sounding accompanies Ina's footsteps as he admits he does not trust Dana to keep a secret. A simple text bubble emphasizes Yana's demand that Dana must remain under his constant watch at all times. A sudden, quick lift sounding occurs as Yana tilts Dana's chin up, vowing to watch her until the Saintess returns. Dana stares back with an annoyed expression as Yana demands to know why she isn't responding to his divine presence. A sudden soft headshake sounding accompanies Yana's laughter as he assumes Dana is simply overwhelmed by his incredible beauty. Yana continues to boast, wondering if Dana is simply too nervous to speak while sharing a room with someone so holy. Sparkling with confidence, the blonde man poses grandly in his white bathrobe to further showcase his legendary celestial visual appeal. Bright magical sparkles fill the air, highlighting Yana's vanity as he basks in the glow of his own perceived perfection. A sudden quiet fall sounding marks the moment Dana's respect for the Saintess completely vanishes due to his excessive ego. Yana remains convinced he is being charming, while Dana realizes that, regardless of his beauty, he is still just a man. A sudden sharp realization strikes Dana as she ponders the fact that she is now rooming with an actual male. Dana dismisses her worries by noting that Yana looks like a child, questioning if he is even old enough for this. Recalling her past, Dana decides sharing a room is no big deal since she used to sleep near her male cousins. A sudden, smooth sounding accompanies Yana's arrogance as he offers Dana the chance to examine his beauty up close. Ina's eyes widen and he gasps in shock as he witnesses Dana taking an unexpected and very bold action. The blonde man shouts in a panic, demanding to know what Dana is doing as she moves with total indifference. Dana begins to unbutton her shirt, completely unfazed by the presence of the man standing right in front of her. A sudden, soft, exposed sounding marks the moment Dana calmly asks what the matter is while she prepares for bed. A sudden, firm, confident sounding accompanies Dana's explanation that she is simply changing into more comfortable clothes for their shared room. An incoherent panic scream erupts from the blonde man as he loses all of his previous composure and cool demeanor. Ina's face turns bright red with embarrassment as he stares at Dana, completely overwhelmed by her lack of feminine modesty. A sudden flustered sounding escapes the blonde man as he covers his face and calls Dana shameless. A sudden loud slam sounding occurs as Yana panics while Dana remains indifferent about changing her clothes. Dana questions the Saintess's logic, noting that he was the one who insisted on sharing a room.
A sudden quick thump sounding follows as a chibi-style Dana happily jumps onto her soft, comfortable bed. Under the moonlight, a voice asks the young master if this setup was his plan all along. Finn notes that using a commoner as an escort is practical for keeping a secret tightly guarded. Ayana admits it was unexpected for his true identity to be discovered so early in his mission. Looking at the sleeping girl, Ayana is taken aback by how defenseless and relaxed she appears to be. Ayana is baffled by Dana's comfortable snoring, while Finn suggests this behavior is typical for a commoner. A sudden soft leaving sounding accompanies Finn's departure as he bids the young master a good night. A sudden sharp turn sounding occurs as Ayana sighs, standing awkwardly in the room with the snoring girl. Ayana wonders if Dana truly realizes he is a man while she continues to snore right beside him. A sudden soft squeeze and pull sounding follows as a chibi Ayana tries to wake up his escort. A sudden quiet still sounding falls over the room as Ayana observes that Dana is completely frozen in sleep. A sudden bright flash sounding signals the start of a mysterious and powerful magical transformation process. A sudden quiet sizzle sounding accompanies the shifting and warping of a physical form within the darkness. Fragments of light and energy dance over skin as the transformation reaches its final and most intense stage. A tall man with golden hair and a confident gaze emerges from the fading magical light. Relaxing in his bathrobe, the mature version of Ayana stares at the sleeping commoner with a frustrated expression. A formal announcement explains that the Saintess's unique clothing is crafted from highly advanced and functional materials. Finn clarifies that the material is magical, allowing it to stretch and change size for any body shape. Dana finds the magical fabric to be incredibly handy while Finn stands by with a collection of dresses. Shimmering golden dust settles over the sleeping commoner as the first light of morning enters the room. Looking at the muscular man looming over her, a half-asleep Dana wonders who the stranger could possibly be. Ayana shouts at Dana to wake up, calling her a dumbass and announcing that it is finally morning. A sudden, sharp flash sounding marks the moment Dana's eyes fly open in a state of total shock. Still groggy from her deep sleep, a chibi-style Dana wonders if the Saintess is finally back with her. Ayana stands over her in the Saintess's dress, calling out Dana's name with a look of extreme annoyance. Ayana complains about an escort who sleeps more than their master, while Dana slowly recalls their previous arrangement. Dana vaguely recalls that Ayana seemed much taller before, pondering the inconsistency of his recent physical appearance. Finn explains that the young master uses a temporary magic spell to maintain his youthful disguise during the day. Finn details how Ayana is 14 by day and 19 by night to avoid looking like a bulky man. Dana reflects on the many different kinds of convenient magic that exist within the Holy Kingdom's high society. A sudden loud scream sounding erupts from Ayana as he struggles to fit back into his Saintess persona. Ayana begs for gentleness while Finn tightens a corset, noting that the pain is necessary for the disguise. Ayana curses his sister and vows revenge while Dana clarifies that Ayana is the name of the Saintess. Dana asks where the real Saintess went and why a substitute was needed for such a high-profile role. A sudden, soft sigh sounding follows as Ayana decides it is time to reveal the truth about the Saintess. A flashback shows the real Saintess riding away on a horse, declaring she is leaving to find happiness. Ayana explains his sister ran away with a lover, leading Dana to judge their family's intense personalities. Narrative text mentions that the church is secretly searching for her and expects to find her very soon. Ayana questions if Dana intends to go to the academy in her pajamas with her messy morning hair. Ayana orders Finn to follow him so Dana can change, though Dana questions why the maid must leave. Dana argues that Finn is also a girl, so there is no reason for her to leave. Ayana looks back with a shocked and confused expression after Dana refers to Finn as a young girl. A sudden soft sigh sounding follows as the maid touches her forehead, looking exhausted by the situation. A simple text bubble delivers the shocking news that the maid standing before Dana is actually a man. Finn stares intensely at Dana, asking if the master's secret identity is simply a joke to her. Dana wonders if Finn is just cosplaying, while Ayana warns her not to speak about such scandals aloud. Finn scolds the master for the maid idea, while Dana asks them both to leave her room immediately. Morning light hits the Grand Academy buildings as a sudden, soft chirp-chirp sounding begins. Ayana walks with her companions while letting out a sudden, long, and tired yawn sounding. During morning worship, the blonde man appears on a screen to ask if the crowd has eaten, though he privately admits he does not care about the answer as they shout that they have not. Fans cheer for the Saintess while scoring her vocals and beauty as perfect 100-point performances. Dana joins the others to head toward the temple once her daily classes have concluded. As the sun sets, Ayana complains about work while Dana notes it is his duty. The group is constantly followed by incompetent assassins who claim to only be filming videos. A young man with short white hair sits tied up and trapped inside a net. The captive begs for mercy while Ayana asks if Finn can handle the situation this time. Finn agrees to deal with him as Dana watches the exchange with a wary and uncertain expression. A sudden, quick dragging sounding follows as Finn hauls the captive away in a sack. The man begs for his life while Dana shivers, terrified of what the maid plans to do. Amateur assassins are easily caught, and a sudden loud flutter sounding follows a distant pain scream. With fewer enemies appearing, the blonde man starts to become lazy regarding his official duties. A sudden low buzzing sounding fills the air as students gather for the special monthly event. The day for student confessions has finally arrived, bringing a crowd to the Holy Temple. A sudden heavy dun-dun sounding marks the Saintess' arrival as she takes her throne.
Once a month, the Saintess listens to the students' concerns during this highly anticipated noble event. A sudden, bright, shiny sounding accompanies Yana's worry as he stares at a chest of gold. A sudden, soft, flattering sounding follows as Lopez presents a treasure chest to show his loyalty. He explains that his family devotes their lives to the faith and asks for the Saintess recognition. A sudden, quiet, sincere sounding follows as Lopez pleads for his family's dedication to be remembered. Yana dismisses him politely while noting the act of telling the Saintess his worries is helpful. As money piles up, Dana thinks the country is corrupt and rotten for allowing such bribery. Night falls over the Grand Temple as a sudden, tired and long yawn sounding echoes. Yana complains that he is tired and asks Finn if the roster is finished. The maid explains there is one person left, and a sudden soft sigh sounding follows as Yana agrees. A sudden loud creak sounding occurs as a first-year student named Verdio enters the room. The black-haired boy hesitates as he stands before the Saintess, unable to find his words. Yana demands that the nervous boy speak up because the Saintess is ready to go home. Verdio blurts out that he has no friends, shocking Dana and her companions with his honesty. The boy looks down in shame, struggling to explain the depth of his social isolation. Verdio explains that his body trembles in front of others and bright lights cause him anxiety. The gloomy boy is avoided by everyone, and his profile notes that his last name is unknown. Verdio laments that others run away from him whenever he tries to start a conversation. A sudden, soft, depressing sounding follows as Verdio mentions rumors of being cursed. Dana watches him with a look of realization, noting that his appearance makes the rumors easy for others to believe. Verdio prostrates himself on the floor, begging the Saintess for advice on how to solve his problem. Ayana thinks the situation is a hassle and asks Finn to provide the student's profile list. The blonde man's eyes widen in surprise as he reads through the details of Vertoy's profile. A single thought bubble conveys Ayana's mounting frustration with the persistent and annoying social situation. A gentle command from the Saintess tells the kneeling boy to finally raise his head. Verdio looks up with wonder as light sparkles around him during the holy meeting. Ayana promises to help the boy, though he warns that the solution might not be perfect. Verdio asks in disbelief if she is serious while staring at her with wide and hopeful eyes. Yana points a finger at Dana, announcing that this will be her first mission as an escort. The Saintess demands that Dana make Vertio popular, causing Dana to scream in absolute shock and confusion. Yana explains that Dana is the best choice for the task because she is the special scholar. A sudden, quick sounding accompanies Vertio as he grabs Dana's hands in a desperate plea for help. Dana asks if they know each other as Vertio panics and waves his hands in denial. A sudden, soft, hesitantly sounding follows as Verdio admits he heard rumors about Dana's incredible confidence. He explains that even among the aristocrats, she is known for not being shy at all. The black-haired boy gazes at Dana with intense focus as he prepares to make a request. Verdio asks how he can become as confident as Dana while looking at her with total admiration. Verdio declares that he wants to live exactly like Dana, though she privately doubts her own qualifications. Dana suggests that the boy find a special skill to make himself appear less intimidating to others. A sudden soft shy sounding follows as Verdio reveals his knowledge of forbidden black magic. He holds up a stitched doll, admitting that his hobby is likely why people find him so unlikable. Dana asks about his other school subjects, and the boy admits his grades are not very good. Dana suggests swordsmanship could help Verdio's popularity, and proposes a duel to test the skills. A sudden loud clang-clang sounding echoes through the training yard during their practice session. A sudden, loud clatter sounding follows as wooden swords fall to the ground in total defeat. Verdio huffs in exhaustion after just 5 minutes, leaving Dana shocked by his pathetic lack of stamina. Dana suggests a break while privately noting his demonic face and realizing swordsmanship is not his specialty. Dana reflects that family wealth and bloodline are truly the most important things in high society. Narrative text explains that money and status would have solved Verdio's problems from the very start. A steaming cup of tea sits on a table as someone offers a quiet, regretful apology. Verdio laments his pathetic nature and apologizes for asking for help, while Dana reassures him that it is fine. A sudden soft sigh sounding follows as Verdio compares himself to a parasite, but Dana offers encouragement. Verdio admits his weak personality is impossible to fix, despite his parents' wishes for him to develop social skills. Verdio believes he belongs alone in a corner, trailing off as he stares ahead with a look of hopelessness. A sudden soft sigh sounding follows as Ayana notes that personalities cannot be changed overnight. Ayana suggests that Verdio should first focus on changing his gloomy and unappealing physical appearance. Anna declares that looking good is the essential first step toward feeling good about oneself. Iana calls for Finn and the maid corps while the blonde maid gives a firm response. A brown-haired maid in a black dress sprints forward while holding a sharp pair of scissors. Ayana orders a total-style makeover for Verdio as the boy cries out in desperate, terrified protest. A sudden loud bang sounding follows as the group drags Verdio away to begin his forced transformation. Verdio cries out for them to stop and leave his hood alone while the maid asks when he last trimmed his hair. The maid finishes her sentence as a sudden sharp snip-snip sounding accompanies Verdio screams. Dana wonders if he is being tortured, as a bad haircut can certainly feel like a crime against humanity. Golden scissors snip through the air as the narrator announces that the work is finally done. Finn presents the new Verdio as his conversion masterpiece while bright light streams from the doorway. Narrative text introduces the reborn Verdio as a single black shoe steps into the room's bright light.
Dana and Iana stare with wide eyes and looks of total shock at the incredible transformation. A tall man in a black coat appears, looking completely different after his extreme physical transformation. A close-up shows the intricate details of the man's elegant clothing and his shining red jewel. Dana wonders if she is looking at an obsessive black-haired male lead as a dark playlist title appears. Finn proudly presents his masterpiece as bright light continues to emanate from the grand doorway. The black-haired man looks on with a cool expression while Dana is left speechless by his beauty. Dana wonders if he is a tyrant male lead from a romance fantasy as another dark playlist title appears. Dana lets out a soft wow as she gazes at the luxurious and ornate interior. Iana notes how styling can change someone's appearance and asks if the boy is Dana's type. Dana is confused as Iana admits the boy looks better but claims his own beauty is far superior. Iana questions Dana's taste as she blushes, though Dana angrily denies it while wondering why he is so offended. Verdio expresses unease with his bangs while Iana offers fake encouragement despite his private desire for the boy to leave. Iana explains that since students already have groups, even a handsome appearance requires social skills to break in. Iana raises a finger to announce his next idea for helping the boy socialize with others. Iana suggests a debutante while the others note his romance fantasy lingo and the potential for starting conversations. Iana announces the welcome dance party where Vertio will make a stunning entrance to grab everyone's attention. Vertio worries about surviving among extroverts in crowded places while Iana declares it is time for the next step. Iana begins a lesson on social skills, stating that proper escorting is required to be a true gentleman. Dana watches Iana with a skeptical expression, wondering when he managed to prepare all of these lessons. Iana demands that practice begin immediately, leaving the boy shocked by the sudden start of the training session. Vertio awkwardly compliments Finn's expression while Dana and Iana watch his pathetic attempt at charm. A close-up shows the man as he prepares to speak with a look of intense focus. Vertio asks about dark magic, prompting an immediate demand from Iana for him to stop talking. Iana scolds the boy for cult-like talk while Vertio explains he was only trying to find a shared interest. Iana orders memorization and proper posture while Dana notes his real personality is leaking through the Saintess disguise. Vertio collapses in apology as narrative text confirms that despite their efforts, nothing is actually improved. Vertio prostrates himself in apology while Dana urges him to get up immediately as Iana sighs. Iana suggests a silent persona, but Dana questions if the Saintess has already given up on him. Iana thinks Veritas' looks are perfect if he stays quiet, though Dana remains skeptical of the plan. Iana ends the workday and orders Finn to ensure Vertio looks fabulous for the upcoming party. A sudden loud bang sounding echoes as the Grand Temple doors finally close for the night. Iana feels the effort was worth it, but Dana doubts the necessity of the entire style makeover. Dana warns that a fake image won't last because people only liking masks aren't real friends. Iana explains that humans must wear masks to meet expectations and receive the love they desire. Night falls as a voice welcomes students to the grand entrance celebration dance party. The narrative encourages students to use the evening to relax and build friendships with their peers. Iana enters the ballroom as the Saintess, glowing with a radiant and seemingly divine presence. Students praise the Saintess's perfect outfit, comparing her to the legendary goddess of spring. Dana eats a cupcake alone, feeling uncomfortable and out of place despite her formal uniform. A blonde man with glasses approaches Dana and identifies her by her full name. The blonde man is Lorenz Lopez, a high noble who ranks second on the entrance exam. Lorenz mocks Dana's commoner status in uniform while she privately celebrates saving money on a dress. Dana asks who he is, shocking Lorenz's groupies, who can't believe she doesn't recognize him. A loud shout demands the commoner listen as the groupies prepare to brag about Lorenz. The groupies declare that Lorenz belongs to House Lopez, the family closest to the Empire's power. Lorenz is praised as a top student who always earns perfect marks in magic theory studies. They admit he lost first place to Dana, but insist he is still a superior noble. Lorenz sits arrogantly while his groupies continue their praise. Dana admits she stopped listening long ago. A sudden quick point sounding follows as Lorenz expresses interest in the famous Dana rolling. Lorenz calls it impressive that a commoner became the Saintess' guard right at the very start. Lorenz leans in with a smirk, asking if Dana has a powerful backer behind her success. Lorenz suggests they talk on the terrace, claiming it's beneficial to be friends with a Lopez. Lorenz offers Dana a dance, but she prepares to deliver a blunt response to his arrogance. Dana rejects the offer, explaining she cannot leave her post while serving as the Saintess' guard. Lorenz is curious about her hesitation as Dana stares at him with a serious and thoughtful expression. Dana warns Lorenz that acting high and mighty will prevent him from ever making real friends. Lorenz and his followers are left in total shock by Dana's blunt and unexpected social advice. The groupies scream about blasphemy while Dana suggests Lorenz adjust his tone to attract better company. A sudden quick swish sounding follows as Dana leaves the stunned group to find more food. Dana reflects on how everyone, including Vertio, seems to be trying very hard to find friends. A sudden loud squeal sounding echoes through the hall as students spot a mysterious new arrival. A tall man with black hair stands in the doorway framed by a flood of light. A close-up reveals the man's strikingly handsome features and intense glowing red eyes. The man's elegant black suit and red tie are shown as someone calls out Vertio's name. Dana and Iana watch with satisfaction as the transformed Vertio finally makes his grand entrance. A sudden soft whisper sounding follows as the crowd wonders about the identity of the handsome man.
Girls admire the newcomer's face, wondering where he has been hiding and noting his incredible beauty. A sudden, sharp snap sounding occurs as a red-haired girl opens her fan in annoyance. Chloe scolds her friends for gawking and reminds them of the primary mission at the school. Chloe explains that their goal is to secure a wealthy spouse from the Empire's most prestigious families. A sudden quick step sounding follows as Chloe identifies Verdio as a top-tier husband candidate. The girls declare that dating is survival of the fittest and prepare to charge at Verdio. Chloe and her companions sprint toward the black-haired man with looks of intense determination. A loud shout for the handsome sir echoes as the crowd of girls closes in on him. The girls swarm Verdio with aggressive questions about his family, parents, and his personal preferences. They demand he sign marriage papers immediately, leaving the overwhelmed Verdio sweating in absolute terror. A wine glass shatters on the floor as a sudden loud crash sounding accompanies a guest scream. A sudden heavy thud sounding follows as the transformed Verdio collapses onto the floor, causing chaos. A sudden sharp gasp sounding follows as Dana watches the disaster unfold with a look of total shock. Iana scolds Virtuous' clumsy behavior from afar, frustrated that the idiot ruined his entrance exactly as expected. A sudden heavy silence sounding fills the grand ballroom while all the guests stare at the scene. Verdio trembles in fear while someone asks if he is all right, as he silently panics about his nervousness. Chibi Yana's voice echoes in Verdio's mind, reminding him to state his name first as basic etiquette. Verdio stutters out his name while the crowd reacts with a sudden loud murmur sounding of disbelief. Guests whisper cruel rumors about Verdio, wondering if he really curses those who make eye contact. A close-up shows Verdio's face twisted in pain as the harsh whispers of the crowd crush him. Darkness closes in on Verdio as he regrets trying to change and feels he can no longer breathe. A close-up reveals Verdio's absolute despair while he struggles to breathe properly under the weight of anxiety. A warm golden light suddenly appears as a hand reaches out to help the fallen and broken boy. Verdio stares up in total shock and awe as the bright divine light begins to wash away his darkness. A close-up shows the short-haired Dana looking on with a look of pure, gentle kindness and focus. A warm, glowing hand reaches out further as light continues to radiate from her divine and comforting presence. Dana approaches Verdio with a calm expression, silhouetted against the grand ballroom's brilliant, shining light. Dana offers her hand to Verdio in a grand gesture of support while the entire room watches. A close-up shows Verdio looking up with wide, shimmering eyes, completely captivated by the person before him. Dana stands firmly before the fallen man, extending her hand once more to offer him a way out. Dana pulls Verdio back to his feet as they are bathed in a warm, heavenly glow of light. Dana speaks softly to the boy as she checks on him, ignoring the judgmental gazes of the crowd. A sudden, sharp creak sounding follows as Dana asks if he is broken while he looks on stiffly. A flashback shows Dana's intense dance training with Finn and Ayana as she reflects on the Saintess' fuss. Dana reassures Verdio that he only needs to roughly follow along, as he marvels at her incredible grace. Verdio expresses his gratitude for her kindness, noting that she readily offered her hand despite his earlier failure. A sudden, soft murmur sounding follows as Verdio notes that Dana remains unfazed despite everyone watching them. Dana remains silent while she listens to his confession, her expression unreadable as they continue to stand together. Dana admits that she isn't always confident, explaining that she merely appreciates his high opinion of her. Dana shares her secret for bravery, suggesting he pretend to be unfazed and view everyone as no big deal. Dana offers a humorous visualization technique, telling him to imagine the judgmental guests as sweet potatoes or squids. Verdio bursts into laughter at the ridiculous suggestion while Dana wonders what he finds so funny about it. Dana asks why he is so desperate for friends when he clearly enjoys being alone with his hobbies. Verdio looks down with a look of quiet contemplation as she asks if there is truly a need to push. Large narrative text declares that his desire for friendship is based on the idea of what is normal. Glowing musical notes float through the air as the narrator notes that most people consider social life ordinary. Verdio explains that his parents also wish for him to live a normal life like all the others. A sudden, soft sigh sounding follows as Dana listens to his explanation with a look of quiet understanding. A close-up shows Dana's face as she prepares to make a bold move to help the struggling boy. A sudden, sharp gasp sounding follows as Verdio reacts in shock to Dana's unexpected and very sudden touch. Dana takes Verdio's face in her hands, surprising him as she moves in closer with a determined look. A close-up shows Dana's warm, determined eyes as she offers her full support to his difficult social mission. Verdio looks on with a soft, gentle smile, finally feeling a sense of hope and genuine comfort. A close-up shows the thin red scar on Verdio's neck as he remains still under her gentle touch. The grand chandelier shines brilliantly above the pair as the atmosphere in the ballroom shifts to one of warmth. Dana realizes that having just one friend isn't enough for his butterfly goals and agrees to help. A sudden firm grab sounding follows as Dana takes hold of the boy to lead him forward. Dana pulls Verdio into a close and intimate embrace while the surrounding crowd watches on in total shock. Verdio smiles warmly at Dana, his red eyes shining with happiness as he finally finds someone to lean on. A close-up shows Dana's eyes filled with determination as she prepares to guide him through the rest of the night. Verdio admits it's easier to breathe around Dana, who notes he dropped his formal tone. A sudden quick swish sounding follows as the two share a close and silent moment.
Verdio gazes at Dana with a soft smile and asks her to simply call him Vert. Verdio notes that his full name is quite long while Dana watches him with curiosity. Dana is surprised when Vertio takes her hand, but she accepts his request for a nickname. Verdio looks delighted as he repeats his nickname while basking in her gentle and kind acceptance. A sudden, warm glow sounding occurs as Dana notices his personality seems to have changed. A sudden, quick whoosh sounding follows as Verdio pulls Dana into an elegant and smooth dance. Verdio leads Dana gracefully through the ballroom as she follows his movements with focused attention. Verdio suggests they get along while Dana giggles at the unexpected charm of her new companion. Verdio whispers Dana's name affectionately while looking deeply into her eyes during their intimate dance. Dana is completely bewildered by Verdio's sudden boldness and wonders what has caused this change. Surrounded by shimmering flowers, the pair finishes their elegant dance as the crowd watches in awe. A sudden, soft melody sounding occurs while guests whisper about how well the pair looks together. Onlookers identify Dana as the commoner scholarship student, noting her family's low social status. Lawrence Lopez watches from afar, laughing as he decides to ask Dana for a dance later. A sudden heavy aura sounding follows as a maid approaches Lorenz, calling him young master. The scene shifts to the quiet exterior of the school as the party finally ends. A sudden soft yah sounding follows as Dana wonders where everyone else still has energy. A sudden quick jump sounding occurs as dark figures ambush Dana on her walk back. A sudden sharp gasp sounding follows as a large net is thrown over the startled girl. A sudden loud shout sounding echoes as the maids trap Dana and drag her away. Dana feels a strange sense of deja vu as she is kidnapped by the mysterious group. The scene shifts to a vanity filled with sparkling jewelry and fine accessories for a lady. Dana is forced into a new outfit while she cries out in confusion about the kidnapping. A close-up shows the intricate details and large bows of a stunning white and blue dress. The muscular maid and her companions reveal themselves as the group from Dana's previous mission. Dana demands to know the meaning of being dragged away in the middle of the night. The maid explains that Dana couldn't enjoy the party while working as an escort knight. They mention orders from a superior, while Dana asks where they are taking her so suddenly. The group approaches a grand temple balcony where a mysterious person is said to be waiting. The maids vanish after completing their mission, leaving a shocked Dana alone in her finery. Dana realizes she is standing on the upper floor of the saint's temple, looking around nervously. Moonlight illuminates Dana's beautiful new dress as she stands alone in the quiet grand space. A sudden heavy creak sounding follows as Dana suspects the identity of the mysterious superior. A mysterious voice catches Dana off guard, telling her that she is finally late. A tall blonde man in an elegant white suit stands beneath a cascade of blue flowers. Dana's eyes widen in absolute shock as she gazes at the handsome man before her. Dana realizes her suspicion was correct as she stares at the man's familiar presence. A sudden quick swish sounding follows as the man begins to remove his elegant masquerade mask. The blonde man is revealed as the Saintess, who asks if Dana is his knight. The man speaks with a smirk, noting how long she's made him wait there. Dana watches with a look of realization, confirming that the person before her is indeed Ayana. The blonde man leans in with a charming smile, repeating his question about her being knight. A chibi Dana looks completely confused, asking if the man is really the Saintess herself. Dana asks if this kidnapping was his doing, and he admits it with a mischievous smile. He explains that the kidnapping and new dress are meant to praise her for her service. He mentions her handling of Verdio, while Dana hopes for a reward of money or food. A sudden, loud shout sounding follows as he declares her reward is a dance with him. Iana stands proudly in his white suit, offering his hand to start their private dance. Dana looks on with a look of deep skepticism as she questions his offered reward. Iana is taken aback by her reaction, asking if she truly considers his dance a punishment instead of a generous gift. Dana teases him about being bored, while Iana defensively denies the claim and calls her audacious for the comment. A close-up shows their hands joining in a gentle, glowing light during the private dance. Iana leads her forward, noting that a chance to dance with him is a rare and special occasion. Iana looks at her charmingly, asking to have the dance while wondering if he is performing the role correctly. Dana looks up at him with a look of realization, agreeing that he is doing a good job. The moonlight shines brightly over the grand balcony where the pair shares a quiet moment. Dana notes she is seeing his real self, while Iana explains the risks of his transformation magic wearing off. Iana explains he made special arrangements for privacy since the students have all gone home for the night. Dana calls him annoying, asking how he manages to hide his true and difficult personality on a daily basis. Chibi Iana demonstrates his idol persona, while Dana asks if acting like a different person is constantly tiring. Iana admits it is a bold question but decides to answer it since he is feeling especially generous tonight. Dana asks if he sees himself as an idol, and Iana confirms that her assessment is actually correct. Large narrative text declares that the Saintess must always act as a flawless agent of God. Iana's hands are joined together as the narration explains she cannot show any human flaws. Narrator notes that people find safety in the illusion of the Saintess, while commoners are shown praying fervently.
Iana admits he must pretend to survive, explaining that his role is to act out the public's fantasy. A close-up of Dana's profile shows her listening as Iana describes the burden of perfection.
Dana tells Iana that she actually prefers this honest and straightforward version of the blonde man before her. A close-up shows Iana looking at Dana with a look of quiet and total shock. Dana admits he was difficult to approach initially, though she finds him much more comfortable to be around now. A close-up of Iana's eyes captures his stunned reaction to her claim that he is now more comfortable. A close-up shows their hands interlaced as a sudden sharp gasp sounding follows from the startled boy. Colorful fireworks explode in the sky above them as Dana reacts in shock to the sudden loud display. A close-up shows Dana's eyes shimmering as she gazes at the beautiful bright lights filling the night sky. A close-up shows Iana's face illuminated by the bright, colorful light of the sudden fireworks. A flashback shows a younger Iana in a collar behind bars as a cruel voice questions his value. Dana wonders if the Saintess prepared the fireworks too as she looks up at the shimmering and bright display. A sudden, soft cough sounding follows as Iana blushes and looks away while covering his lower face.
Iana admits he can use his authority for such things while Dana watches him with a thoughtful expression.
A close-up shows Dana's face as she breaks into a bright and very genuine smile. Dana bursts into laughter, telling him that there's truly no one else quite as peculiar as him. Iana stares at the laughing girl while he begins to blush deeply under the starlit sky. A close-up shows Iana's wide, shimmering blue eye as he stares in shock at the brown-haired girl. A chibi Iana covers his face in total confusion while wondering if his heart is acting up. A sudden loud thump-thump-thump sounding occurs as Iana panics about his feelings for the dense commoner. Dana wonders about the cost and abuse of power while Iana panics, suspecting he has a strange illness. A narrative text box declares that the chaotic night of the dance party has finally ended. The school building stands tall and quiet in the bright, clear light of the morning. Narrative text explains the Saintess's fame grew while students desperately cry out for her to hear their troubles.
Staff members hold back the crowd as they are told to take a number for the confession day.
The freckled maid asks about Verdio becoming handsome, while Dana looks on with a look of confusion. Dana finds the spreading rumors about the Saintess solving everything to be a complete and total pain. The freckled girl delivers a letter left at the temple and Dana thanks her while wondering the sender. Dana is surprised to see a letter from Verdio, wondering if he missed class because he was overwhelmed. Dana notes that Verdio is using formal language in his writing despite dropping it when they spoke earlier. Verdio looks on with a soft expression as Dana reads his request for a relationship leading to marriage. Dana suspects a prank or spam mail, while a blushing Iana immediately and firmly rejects the idea. A sudden, sharp tear sounding follows as Iana's hand grabs the letter and rips it into two pieces. A sudden, sharp rip sounding follows as Iana's hand grabs the letter and tears it into pieces. Iana declares his absolute refusal as Dana watches him with a look of shock and total confusion. Dana asks why he is tearing her letter, and Iana asks if she is dating that fellow. Dana claims it was a prank, but Iana rages about her using a nickname for the prince. A sudden quick thrust sounding follows as Finn the maid presents a scroll for an escort night. Iana adds a no dating clause to the contract, shocking Dana who sees her fingerprint is already present. Iana orders that romantic relationships are forbidden, claiming they undermine the Saintess's dignity as his escort knight. Dana protests her human rights while Iana mutters a curse about the annoying and persistent Lord Verdio. Iana's dark thoughts manifest as a black cat eating a fish that resembles the confused brown-haired girl. A close-up shows Iana's shimmering blue eyes filled with a look of intense and troubled focus. Iana reflects on the Crown Prince's involvement as the scene shifts to the exterior of the palace. A man with dark hair and red eyes is formally addressed as the esteemed Crown Prince himself. An attendant informs the prince that the emperor is waiting and he agrees to go there shortly. The attendant notes the prince's good mood and asks if something positive happened at the academy today. A chibi crown prince asks if it's obvious, and the attendant confirms that it is very apparent. A narrative text box declares that the crown prince has finally found someone he truly likes now. The crown prince smiles charmingly as the title introduces his lessons on commoner life for the students. Narrative text explains that while Dana and the Saintess idled away, the night of the dance ended. Finn sighs at the piano, wondering if playing so many different roles is her true calling here. The midterm exam results are posted, showing Dana Rolang in first place over the noble Lorenz Lopez. Female students gossip about Dana's success, wondering if the commoner girl is receiving secret private tutoring sessions. The girls whisper that Lorenz is second again while his aide listens with a look of fury. Lorenz Lopez stands tall as his aide calls his name in a state of visible and intense frustration. Narrative text declares that other students are looking down on Lorenz because of the commoner scholarship student. The aide rants about Dana's arrogance while a chibi Dana is shown laughing in his angry thoughts. The aide asks Lord Lorenz if he will just watch the commoner girl act so bold and arrogant. A close-up shows Lorenz touching his glasses, his face remaining calm despite the heated words of others. Lorenz responds with a single word of absolute agreement as he prepares to take action against her. Lorenz stares forward with a look of grim determination behind his gold-rimmed and elegant spectacles. A sudden shimmering light sounding follows as Iana lounges dramatically across a desk in his white dress. A close-up of Dana's face shows her looking at the Saintess with a look of pure confusion.
Iana calls himself a beautiful sight, but Dana asks why he is lying across her study desk.
Iana questions her need to study, while Dana explains she must review her incorrect midterm exam answers.
Dana worries about her scholarship, while Finn arrives to announce that morning prayers will be starting soon. Iana complains about his night guard's dullness as they walk past the Grand Dome Temple building together. Dana notes the contract mentions nothing about playing, while Iana mutters incomprehensibly at her through the mirror. A sudden heavy thought sounding follows as a dark silhouette appears behind the two girls in the temple. A hooded man with red eyes greets them, causing Dana to react with a look of shock. Dana recognizes Verdio and asks what brings him to the chapel since he usually skips his classes. Verdio blushes as he asks if Dana received his marriage letter, much to her shock and embarrassment. Dana dismisses the marriage letter as an embarrassing prank trend, leaving Verdio in a state of shock. A sudden soft step sounding follows as Verdio reels from the rejection of his sincere marriage proposal. Verdio worries that he was overstepping and came on too strong, making things awkward for the young girl. A sudden loud wah sounding occurs as Dana frantically apologizes, saying she does not actually dislike him. Dana says marriage letters are for special people, not friends, causing Verdio to look completely and utterly crushed. Verdio grabs her hands and asks if they are friends, and she confirms that they are indeed friends. Verdio asks to be ultra super best friends, noting she is the first friend he has ever had. Iana glares at Verdio and asks if he is the closest friend while calling him a total bastard. Iana commands Finn to bring a mysterious item, and the maid obediently responds to her superior's order. A sudden loud eek sounding follows as Iana poses under an intense and blindingly bright spotlight. A dark spirit cringes in fear as a blinding white light descends, begging for mercy during an exorcism. Dana questions the strange sight, while Iana reveals the mysterious object is actually a reflector for holy halo effects. Dana recalls Iana's sparkling entrances as the blonde man notes the reflector's usefulness for upcoming events. Ready when you are. Just give me the text and I'll speed read it for you. The academy stands silent and grand as a new day of attending school begins for the students. Dana stares in shock as a massive pink octopus tentacle suddenly appears right next to her. A giant live octopus sits atop the wooden desk while a horrified Dana shouts in total disbelief. Other students panic, wondering if it is a demon beast, while Dana wonders why it was placed there. Lord Lorenz adjusts his glasses with a smirk, calling Dana an insolent commoner for her supposed fear. Lorenz boasts about the effort required to get the octopus, expecting Dana to lose her cool completely. Lorenz gleefully anticipates the commoner girl crying as she prepares to submit her formal withdrawal form. The scene transitions to the academy's kitchen filled with various food items and cooking supplies. A beautifully garnished platter of cooked octopus and takoyaki is presented, appearing absolutely delicious and expensive. Dana happily eats the rare ingredient, thanking the chefs while planning to take the leftovers home. Lorenz watches from the shadows, frustrated that his prank failed because Dana is far too dense. A sudden sharp snap sounding occurs as Lorenz presents a green envelope, declaring his next plan isn't over. Lorenz explains the cursed chain letter, a terrifying document that brings misfortune if not shared with others. Lorenz laughs, certain Dana has no friends to send letters to and will soon be crying in fear. A sudden heavy thump sounding follows as an aide opens the locker to plant the cursed chain letter. Inside the locker, a creepy voodoo doll sits next to a note asking to be cherished forever. A sudden chilling breeze sounding occurs as the terrified aides find themselves standing before a dark, ghostly presence. Verdio's terrifying face looms close, his red eye glowing as he asks if they have business there. The aides flee in terror while Lorenz rages, leaving Verdio standing confused in the academy's quiet hallway. Iana poses radiantly as the Saintess, receiving touched and grateful cheers from the adoring student crowd. Lorenzo's aides cower in fear while the blonde boy tries to maintain his composure despite being terrified. Lorenz watches Dana suspiciously, believing she is cowardly recruiting allies in advance to protect her position. Lorenz decides to go with a classic bullying tactic to finally embarrass the commoner student. Lorenz sticks his leg out to trip Dana, hoping she will fall embarrassingly before the entire school. A sudden sharp crunch sounding occurs as Dana accidentally steps directly onto Lorenz's foot in a painful mistake. Students rush to help Lorenz while Dana looks back, wondering what could have possibly tripped the noble. Aides carry Lorenz away as Iana watches the strange scene unfold with a look of silent observation. A close-up reveals Iana's shimmering blue eye, capturing his internal state of deep and focused thought. Iana looks on with a pensive expression, his mind clearly troubled by the strange events of the day. The moon shines brightly over the academy's domed roof as the quiet night falls upon the school. Iana and Dana sit together in a lavishly decorated room, surrounded by a heavy and quiet silence. A sudden light tap sounding follows as Iana's hand hits the desk while Dana asks what he needs. Iana stares intently at the brown-haired girl, his expression unreadable as he leans closer toward her. Dana gazes up at the blonde man, her face reflecting a mix of curiosity and quiet expectation. The scene shifts as advertisements for other stories appear, signaling a transition in the current narrative flow. A notification appears announcing a recruitment call for various roles within the creative team. A beautifully sealed envelope rests on the desk next to a quill and freshly written letters. Dana writes a letter home, asking her family not to worry about her life at the academy.
Dana describes her comfortable life and the Saintess's kindness while sending her scholarship money back home.
A sudden light tap sounding occurs as Iana calls Dana's name, prompting her to look up curiously. Iana leans in close, his face illuminated by a soft light as he focuses entirely on the girl. Dana asks why he is using her name, while Iana wonders why she is questioning his sudden change.
Dana mentions the strange atmosphere during choir practice and the odd behavior of the other students today. Dana recalls the octopus prank and the feeling of someone staring at her back throughout the entire day.
Iana rests his chin on his hand, looking thoughtful as he considers the girl's strange and difficult experiences. Iana offers to specially help her out, his words carrying a hint of mystery and underlying intent.
The blonde man smiles with a radiant and charming confidence as he watches the girl. Chibi Iana suggests using the Saintess's authority to expel students, provided that Dana becks him.
Dana flatly rejects the blonde man's offer to help, leaving him looking completely and utterly baffled.
Dana explains she anticipated these hardships when she enrolled and begins reviewing her school papers instead.
Dana stands with quiet resolve, clutching her books and study materials tightly against her chest.
Iana watches her with a shimmering blue eye, telling her not to worry and wishing her good night. A close-up captures Iana's face as he remains silent, his expression reflecting a lingering deep thought. The Grand Academy building stands tall and majestic as a new school day begins for everyone.
A sudden sharp ring sounding follows as Dana arrives at the classroom only to find it deserted.
Dana finds the empty room strange and wonders if the first period was supposed to be self-study.
A professor explains that the class is removed, much to the shock of the confused chibi Dana. Dana frantically searches the massive halls, shouting in panic as she tries to locate her new classroom.
Dana laments her situation, wondering why she was the only one not informed about the class change.
A sudden soft rustle sounding occurs as students walk past, noting how boring their morning classes were.
A sudden loud creak sounding follows as Dana peeks into a room, questioning someone's late arrival.
Lorenz Lopez sits arrogantly at a table, mocking Dana for finally showing up after classes ended. Lorenz adjusts his spectacles and asks if she thinks her scholarship status makes her superior to others. A close-up of Donna's face reveals her look of absolute and total shock at his words.
Dana bluntly asks if she knows him, causing Lorenz to explode with rage over his second-place rank. Dana recalls a blurry memory of the blonde noble while wondering if he attended the dance party.
Lorenz sighs and offers some arrogant advice, warning her that she should not be so conceited.
A sudden heavy step sounding follows as Lorenz explains that the Saintess only chose her out of pity.
Lorenz leans in close, telling the commoner girl that her background is the only reason for her selection.
Dana realizes Lorenz is her enemy and wonders if he planted the octopus on her desk yesterday. Dana processes the situation, wondering what a prestigious noble could possibly want with a first-place student.
Dana pauses with a pensive look, her mind racing as she considers his strange and petty behavior.
Dana asks the blonde noble if his hostility stems from her ranking first in the recent exams.
Lorenz recoils in a fit of absolute fury, screaming that he could never be jealous of her. Lorenz shouts that he has never been so insulted while raising his fist in a dramatic gesture.
A sudden sharp swish sounding occurs as a white glove is thrown violently through the air.
A sudden, soft thud sounding follows as Lorenz commands Dana to pick up the glove he threw.
Dana picks up the glove while questioning why the noble is taking his anger out on objects. The aides gasp in total horror, shocked that the commoner girl actually picked up the thrown glove. The aides provide a friendly explanation that picking up a thrown glove means accepting a formal duel. Dana reacts with pure terror as she learns the act represents an unbreakable vow of family honor. Lorenz smirks with a sinister look, triumphantly noting that she has finally accepted his challenge to duel.
A sudden loud blast sounding follows as a proclamation demands that they proceed to the training grounds.
The scene shifts to the vast and Grand Academy training grounds where the duel will take place.
Lorenz haughtily grants Dana the right to choose the duel method as they stand on the field.
Lorenz declares that Dana must leave the academy without any complaints if he wins the upcoming duel.
Dana counters the wager, stating that if she wins, the noble must stop bothering her forever.
Dana thinks deeply with a look of serious concentration as she prepares to choose her dueling method. Dana explains a game where the loser matches their palm direction to their face direction while Lorenz stares. Lorenz looks completely and utterly confused by the strange and childish game Dana has proposed to him. A sudden loud clap sounding occurs as Lorenz shouts for rock, paper, scissors to start the unconventional duel.
Dana instantly declares her victory while the blonde noble remains frozen in a state of pure disbelief. Lorenz screams that this is not a real duel, but Dana reminds him she chose the method. A close-up reveals Lorenz's face contorted with a silent and burning rage toward the clever commoner girl. Lorenz insults her parents, asking if her low-born family taught her to be such a total coward.
Lorenz mocks her upbringing and lack of manners, telling her to run away if she is scared. A hand tightly grips the hilt of a sword as a silent tension fills the air. A simple bubble confirms the noble's reluctant agreement to proceed with the next stage of bow. A sudden quick swish sounding occurs as Dana draws her sword, offering to humor him with a proper duel.
Lorenz mockingly asks if she found a spine and tells her to bring it while she lunges forward. A sudden sharp swing sounding follows as a sword blade cuts through the air with incredible speed.
A sudden light clang sounding occurs as a silver sword falls uselessly onto the dusty training ground floor.
A sudden sharp point sounding follows as Dana holds her sword to Lorenz's neck, noting he dropped his weapon.
The brown-haired girl looks down with a calm expression, asking if they are finally finished with the duel. Dana states she will leave if he is finished, while the noble boy is supported by his aides. The surrounding students whisper in shock about Lorenz losing a swordsmanship match to a commoner in public view.
Lorenz despairs over his ruined reputation, horrified that he has lost again to a commoner despite his status. A sudden, sharp spark sounding occurs as Lorenz refuses to accept the result while gathering lightning magic.
A sudden, loud blast sounding follows as Lorenz fires magic while Dana looks back toward him in shock.
A massive explosion erupts on the field as a student shouts about the unauthorized use of attack magic.
Dana grits her teeth and closes her eyes in terror, believing that her life is about to end.
A sudden, soft glow sounding follows as a protective aura begins to manifest around the terrified girl. Iana appears behind a golden magic shield as Dana looks on with a look of absolute confusion. A voice declares that attacking the Saintess's guard is the same as launching an attack on her directly.
A close-up reveals Iana's face contorted with a look of cold and simmering rage toward the noble.
The Saintess stands regally with her hand outstretched, maintaining the powerful golden barrier protecting the field.
Iana sternly asks the noble boy if he understands the true severity of the crime he committed.
A sudden radiant shimmer sounding occurs as the holy magic continues to glow brightly around the Saintess. Iana stands with a majestic and imposing presence, her expression hard as she stares down the blonde noble.
A sudden light rush sounding follows as students marvel at the Saintess blocking a spell with holy power.
Lorenz trembles in fear as Iana coldly addresses him by his full name before the entire student body. Iana states that using unauthorized attack magic violates school rules and his family's help won't save him now. The Saintess's anger grows as she mentions his attempt to harm her knight, regardless of her temporary status.
Iana declares the act to be treason, demanding immediate expulsion and severe punishment for the noble's entire family.
A sudden soft wheeze sounding follows as Lorenz gasps for air while trembling in a state of terror. A sudden, heavy thud sounding occurs as the noble boy finally loses the strength to remain standing. Lorenz collapses to his knees in a gesture of total despair as Dana and Iana loom over him. Reaction panels capture Dana's steady gaze and Lorenz's sweating, terrified face as the gravity of his situation sinks in. A sudden, quick step sounding follows as Iana plans to contact leadership, but Dana urgently calls for her. Dana stands before the Saintess and pleads for her to give the blonde noble just one more chance. Both the blonde noble and the blonde Saintess look completely and utterly baffled by Dana's unexpected request. Iana shouts in disbelief, initially refusing to show any mercy toward the boy who just attacked her knight. Iana asks why she would help while Dana explains she wasn't hurt and believes he isn't truly evil. Dana considers his perspective, thinking he only acted out of frustration from her receiving perceived special treatment. The brown-haired girl concludes that the noble only acted out of a momentary sense of perceived unfairness. Lorenz stares up at the commoner girl with an unreadable expression, seemingly stunned by her selfless defense. Dana continues to plead with the Saintess to show leniency just this once for the boy's sake. Iana remains silent for a moment, her expression showing her lingering annoyance with the noble boy's behavior. Iana sighs and agrees to be lenient only because the brown-haired girl is the one who insisted. A close-up of Lorenz reveals his look of total shock as he realizes he has been spared. The Saintess turns her attention to the gathered crowd, calling out to all the students watching the scene. Iana acknowledges the confusion students feel about Dana's appointment while they look away in a state of guilt. The Saintess' expression becomes serious as she prepares to deliver a major and definitive announcement to everyone. Iana declares that Dana is a dear friend who transcends social status regardless of her commoner background. A sudden, sparkling shimmer sounding follows as Iana strikes a dramatic and emotional pose of sisterly friendship.
Chibi Dana is baffled while Iana explains the academy is her only chance to set aside her status.
Iana delivers a dramatic performance while Dana watches skeptically, wondering if such a display will actually work. Dana is shocked to hear students cheering and crying, moved by the Saintess' speech about friendship. Students accept Dana's position, while Dana thinks the entire situation is completely and utterly insane. Lorenz sits on the ground, asking Dana why she defended him after everything that had happened. Lorenz asks if she pities him, but Dana clarifies her actions were not born of pity. Lorenz remains confused as Dana reaches out her hand, offering to help him from the ground. Dana tells the blonde noble to get up while the sunset glows behind them on the grounds. Dana explains she understands the frustration of working hard without receiving any reward for one's efforts. A close-up of Dana reveals her gentle expression as she continues explaining her perspective to Lorenz. Dana apologizes for catching him off guard, suggesting the duel's result might have been different otherwise. Dana stands with an open palm extended, radiating a sense of humble sincerity toward her opponent. Lorenz stares at her in silence, his expression unreadable as he processes her unexpected and kind gesture. A sudden sharp swish sounding occurs as Lorenz finally prepares to take Dana's hand to stand up. A sudden soft grasp sounding follows as the two students lock hands, marking a shift in relations. Lorenz and Dana stand face to face, a new sense of mutual respect and understanding forming between them. Iana watches the interaction from a distance with a stern look, her arms crossed in disapproval. A sudden, quick whip sounding follows as Yana turns away, her expression hidden from the other students. Later that evening, Ayana sits alone in a room, looking contemplative while wearing a dark robe. Chibi Dana asks if the power used earlier today was indeed holy magic while Ayana listens. Dana recalls the magical shield Ayana manifested and notes holy power usually follows a specific bloodline. Lorenz asks if a stand-in has such power, while Ayana casually denies having any such ability. A sudden light clink sounding follows as Ayana presents a glowing crystal imbued with holy power. Bubbles explain the item allows the user to command monsters and utilize magic through holy power. Dana realizes it is a convenient tool, likening it to a portable charger for magical energy. A sudden sharp crack sounding follows as the crystal shatters, having been fully drained today. Dana is horrified, asking why such a rare and powerful item was used so recklessly for her. A sudden light hum sounding follows as Dana looks on in shock at the crystal's destruction. A sudden, heavy step sounding occurs as Ayana explains the church created these items for emergencies. Ayana asks why he would ever waste such a valuable item casually while looking toward the window. A sudden, quick jerk sounding follows as Ayana grabs Dana, his eyes narrowed with intensity. Ayana demands to know what she was thinking, confronting her about the danger she put herself in. Ayana yells that Lorenz is skilled in attack magic and asks what would have happened if late. Dana is grateful but asks what her safety has to do with him while he holds her. Bubbles highlight Dana's confusion regarding why the stand-in Saintess is so personally affected by the event. Ayana stands close to Dana in the middle of the room, the intensity of the moment palpable. Lorenz looks on with a troubled expression, his blue eyes filled with a mix of complex emotions. Dana looks up with wide eyes, overwhelmed by the weight of the situation and the confrontation. Bubbles contain her question, asking what her well-being has to do with the Saintess's role or duties. Dana apologizes for the loss of the item but remains confused by the intensity of his anger. Ayana stares back, the silence between them growing thick as he struggles with his own reactions. A sudden, light twitch sounding follows as a hand is raised in a hesitant and unfinished gesture. Ayana abruptly turns away, ending the conversation with a dismissive comment about her doing as she pleases. A bubble contains the admission that he overstepped, reflecting his internal struggle and current state of mind. A close-up reveals Ayana's face as he offers a small, faint smile while looking back at her. A sudden, loud bang sounding follows as the door slams shut, leaving Dana alone in the room. Dana stands in the quiet room, looking at the door with a look of absolute confusion. The scene shifts to the dark, empty hallway of the academy, reflecting a somber and lonely atmosphere. Ayana stands in the corridor, looking out a window while deep in thought about the evening's events. Ayana wonders why he felt so flustered, trying to convince himself the commoner girl's safety is irrelevant. Ayana recalls the moment he manifested the shield, questioning why he got so worked up over everything. Lorenz questions why the Saintess was so concerned about his safety during the earlier confrontation. A sudden, frantic scrap sounding follows as the blonde noble boy clutches his head in frustration. A moment of internal turmoil follows as he struggles to process his confusing new feelings. Lorenz looks utterly distressed while covering his face, his blue eyes filled with visible anxiety. A decorative title card announces the next chapter of the story about protecting the Saintess. Night falls over the Academy's male dormitory, a building that was only recently completed. A sudden, rhythmic thump-thump sounding follows as Lorenz lies awake in bed with a racing heart. Lorenz imagines Dana as a radiant angel reaching out to him with a gentle, inviting hand. In his vision, the blonde noble holds Dana's hands affectionately as they share a moment. The fantasy continues with a sudden, joyful chime sounding as the two stand together at a wedding. Lorenz sits up and shouts in denial, desperate to banish the romantic thoughts from his head. Standing by the window, he acknowledges her impressive traits but struggles with her lower social status. A sudden sharp crack sounding follows as Lorenz's stress reaches its limit while he grips his face. He recalls Dana's smiling face and kind gestures, making it even harder for him to focus. A sudden echoing shout sounding follows as students outside Lorenz's door wonder why he is screaming. Lorenz tries to convince himself that his feelings are merely competitiveness and anger toward the commoner. The scene shifts to the Academy's grand dining hall during the bright hours of the day. A bold declaration of rivalry fills the air, signaling a new dynamic between the two students. Lorenz dramatically points at Dana in the cafeteria, loudly declaring her to be his official rival. He acknowledges her intellect while arrogantly claiming she still cannot defeat him in the end. Dana stares back with a look of absolute confusion, baffled by his sudden and formal address. Lorenz swears on his family name to behave honorably while Dana tries to interrupt his speech. Dana asks why he is acting so strange while the blonde boy insists he is showing respect. A sudden, startled gasp sounding follows as Dana suggests they skip the honorifics and use first names. The brown-haired girl asks if his apology was an attempt to finally become her friend. Lorenz stammeringly agrees to her request, allowing her to address him casually from now on. The blonde noble looks away with a deep blush, clearly overwhelmed by their new social dynamic. A sudden soft hiss sounding follows as steam practically erupts from Lorenz's face in his embarrassment. Lorenz makes a hasty exit while Dana wonders if she has just invited even more trouble. A sudden light click sounding follows as Dana returns to eating her meal in quiet contemplation. A group of girls approaches Dana's table, curious about her interaction with the blonde noble boy.
A dramatic visual effect surrounds the newcomers, emphasizing their refined and noble status at the school. A bubble explains that the social scene is a brutal market for finding a suitable spouse. The narrative emphasizes the competitive nature of finding the best possible partner within the high nobility. The text highlights the goal of becoming elegant, intellectual, and independent ladies in high society. Three noble girls named Bella and Chloe strike confident poses while introducing themselves to Dana. Dana imagines them as a bizarre team of villains while they express their desire for friendship. The girls praise Dana for her victory over Lorenz, recalling the satisfying moment he was defeated. They explain that not all students are high-ranking nobles, hoping to put the commoner at ease. One girl admits her family bought their title while another mentions being adopted into her house. The trio invites Dana to join them, but she politely declines, preferring to eat her lunch alone. The girls warn her that being alone is dangerous because of the frightening rumors circulating lately. Dana listens as they mention a creepy forest behind the male dorms where crying is heard. The girls describe hearing inhuman screams and terrifying ghosts while Dana watches them with total skepticism. Dana gives them a blank stare, clearly unimpressed by their ghost stories and superstitious fears. Dana remains convinced ghosts don't exist while others desperately beg the Saintess for a spiritual exorcism. The scene shifts to the Academy's cathedral, which has essentially been turned into a counseling center. Students complain about nightmares and the scary forest, certain that something supernatural is lurking there. Ayana sits regally on the throne, internally questioning why ghost hunting has become her new duty. A sudden, loud sob sounding follows as the elderly principal begs for help while the Saintess watches. Ayana is annoyed by the endless, ridiculous requests at the cathedral's new counseling center. Ayana suddenly realizes that this situation presents a perfect opportunity for her secret plans. Ayana plots to teach the dense brown-haired girl a lesson, acknowledging their recent awkwardness. In her imagination, Ayana envisions Dana clinging to her in terror after seeing a ghost. Ayana's fantasy continues as she imagines a terrified Dana regretfully admitting to being careless. Returning to reality, the blonde Saintess reassures the worried students that she understands their concerns. A sudden loud cheer sounding follows as the Saintess dramatically promises to investigate the truth. A chibi version of the brown-haired girl contemplates the Saintess, calling her a dense brat. Yana gleefully laughs, determined to get the last laugh during their upcoming ghost investigation. The scene shifts to Lorenz holding a sleeping Dana, wondering how they ended up there. Under the full moon, Dana wonders why she was dragged into the Whispering Woods at night. Ayana, wearing a white hooded cloak, explains it is a knight's duty to escort her. Dana worries about Ayana's disguise, but the Saintess dismisses her concerns as unnecessary and unlikely. A sudden light rustle sounding occurs as a hand reaches through the bushes near the pair. A green blonde-haired man with glasses peeks from the bushes, questioning the hooded figure's identity. Looking from his dorm window, Lorenz is shocked to see Dana alone with a man. As class president, Lorenz decides he cannot overlook Dana's scandalous behavior and must intervene. Lorenz rushes past the dorm supervisor, who allows him out because of his exemplary reputation. Lorenz follows the pair deep into the woods, questioning the true nature of their relationship. A sudden, sharp gasp sounding follows as a dark-haired man with red eyes appears behind Lorenz. Lorenz defends his friend, but the dark-haired man identifies him as the boy from the Verdio house. The dark-haired newcomer confronts Lorenz, asking what he is doing in the woods so late. A sudden, creepy giggle sounding follows as the dark-haired man claims he is looking for ghosts. Lorenz is annoyed as the man asks why he is stalking the brown-haired commoner girl. Sensing a presence behind them, Dana turns around with a look of suspicion and confusion. A sudden, terrified scream sounding follows as Dana points out something scary, causing Ayana to panic. The two girls stand frozen in a moment of shared silence after the sudden startling outburst. Dana asks if the Saintess is afraid of ghosts, prompting Ayana to stammer a defensive denial. Dana remains skeptical as she wonders if the Saintess' fear stems from a guilty conscience. A sudden, steady stomp sounding follows as Dana decides to investigate the mysterious noise herself. A sudden panic dash sounding follows as Ayana runs toward Dana just as she starts falling. Dana's eyes go wide in shock as she begins to plummet down the steep cliffside. A sudden desperate shout sounding follows as Ayana reaches for Dana before they both fall. A sudden loud splash sounding follows as the two girls tumble toward a rushing waterfall below. A sudden heavy panting sounding follows as the two survivors lie exhausted on the riverbank. Ayana notes they survived because of the river, but they nearly became ghosts themselves. Dana angrily asks what would have happened if they both fell and if she'd be abandoned. Ayana retorts that she warned Dana not to go ahead alone, blaming her lack of caution. A sudden loud sneeze sounding follows as both girls shiver from being soaked in cold. A sudden sharp groan sounding follows as Dana collapses and Ayana asks if she is injured. Dana insists she is fine despite a slight ankle sprain, claiming she can still walk. Ayana looks at Dana with a serious and contemplative expression, remaining silent for a long moment. A sudden surprised gasp sounding follows as Ayana picks up the brown-haired girl in her arms. Dana demands to be put down, but Ayana questions how she plans to walk on her own. A sudden frantic struggle sounding follows as Dana protests while Ayana carries her away anyway. A sudden crackling fire sounding follows as the two settle into a cave to get warm. A sudden sharp rip sounding follows as Ayana tears a piece of her shirt for bandages. A sudden soft rustle sounding follows as Ayana carefully bandages Dana's ankle to prevent further injury. Dana notes Iana is acting strangely, while Iana focuses on figuring out their current location.
Iana gets up to scout the area, prompting Dana to warn her about potential hidden dangers.
Iana tells the brown-haired girl to stay still and not get in the way.
The blonde man apologizes for his harsh behavior during their recent fall into the river. He explains he was too harsh because he felt responsible for her falling into the water. Dana tells him he doesn't need to put himself at a disadvantage for her sake. He asks if he looks like a man who would abandon his subordinates, causing her doubt. The blonde knight vows to be more careful to avoid causing any trouble from now on. He reflects on his hidden motives while gazing at her with a look of intense focus. Dana shivers in her soaked clothes, her expression filled with a mix of cold and concern. The blonde man watches her closely, his expression softening as he notices her visible distress. The brown-haired girl shivers as water droplets continue to drip from her damp hair.
He claims he is helping for that specific reason, trying to hide his true feelings.
A sudden swift throw sounding occurs as the blonde man tosses a heavy cloak over Dana. He orders her to keep the cloak on to prevent his escort knight from catching cold. A blonde chibi girl wonders if Dana would just get sick if she didn't argue back. Dana wraps herself in the warm cloak, looking surprised by the noble boy's sudden kindness. A sudden, soft rustle sounding follows as Dana pulls the hood over her head in silence. The blonde man stares ahead with a blush, clearly affected by their close proximity. He decides they should stay until dawn since wandering in the dark is far too dangerous. Chibi Dana asks why he's so close while he shouts about needing to share body heat. He gently places a hand on her head, advising her to lean on him and rest. The blonde noble insists he will stay awake to keep watch while she gets some sleep. Dana's eyes widen as she feels the warmth and weight of his hand against her head. A sudden, sleepy blink sounding follows as Dana begins to drift off against his shoulder. The pair sits together in the quiet cave, sharing a moment of peace amidst the chaos. A sudden faint hiss sounding follows as the small fire dies down to glowing dim embers. A sudden loud shout sounding follows as someone calls Dana's name, waking her in a panic. Lorenz and Vert suddenly appear, relieved to have finally found Dana after searching the dark woods. Dana looks on in shock, realizing that her secret companion's identity is now at great risk. She panics, realizing it would be a total disaster if they discovered the Saintess in disguise. The blonde man looks toward the newcomers with a stoic expression, unaware of Dana's internal panic. A bubble explains that Vert is nocturnal and tends to act much bolder under the moonlight. Lorenz and Vert rush forward, desperate to ensure that Dana hasn't been injured in her fall.
Chibi Dana screams in her head, terrified of the social fallout if the secret is revealed.
A sudden frantic toss sounding follows as Dana throws the cloak over the Saintess to hide her. Dana stammers while Lorenz claims they were just strolling, fulfilling their noble duty to save lives. Lorenz looks around suspiciously while confirming that he is relieved to see Dana is all right. He asks about the male companion he saw her with, making Dana's heart race with fear. Lorenz approaches the hidden figure while a sudden loud scream echoes through the dark cave. A sudden desperate shout sounding follows as Dana tries to stop Lorenz from uncovering her friend. A sudden sharp whistle sounding follows as a dart flies through the air, hitting Lorenz's neck. A sudden, painful gasp sounding follows as a second dart strikes Vert, causing him to stutter. Both noble boys collapse to the ground in a heap, completely knocked out by the attack. Dana stares at her fallen classmates, her face pale with confusion and horror at the scene. She wonders if they are dead, but a mysterious voice reassures her they are only sleeping. A sudden, steady stomp sounding follows as a person in boots approaches the unconscious noble boys.
Finn, the blonde maid, appears holding a blowgun, admitting that she nearly missed her target earlier.
Finn explains she was patrolling because she heard noises, reminding Dana that this is her workplace.
She mentions her ongoing task of capturing assassins who have been targeting the Saintess lately.
Finn gives a cheerful smile while discussing her work, leaving Dana feeling deeply unsettled and uneasy. Dana realizes the terrifying rumors of screaming ghosts were actually just the sounds of Finn's victims. The blonde man realizes the screaming ghosts were actually assassins. Dana notes their recent lack of sightings. Chibi Dana asks if the Saintess knew. The blonde man claims not prying is an employer's virtue. Chibi Finn asks how they arrived there. The others vaguely claim one thing led to another. Finn realizes the rumor's source and notes it will be difficult to handle from now on. The blonde man plans to restrict student access. Finn suggests moving the bodies already buried elsewhere. The blonde man praises Finn's unprompted overtime and promises a bonus, making the maid very happy. A sudden, quick tap sounding follows as the blonde man kicks Lorenz, noting his memory loss. Finn joyfully runs off to finish the rest of her cleanup work in the dark woods. Just sudden, wet splatter sounding occurs amidst a dark scene of blood-stained rocks and lingering shadows. The blonde man smiles broadly, expressing that the current situation is exactly as he had expected. Dana decides they should leave, reflecting on how the living can be scarier than any ghost. The scene shifts to the grand, ornate academy building standing tall under a clear morning sky. In the nurse's office, Chibi Finn explains she brought the unconscious boys there to recover safely. A sudden soft rustle sounding follows as Lorenz's eyes flutter open while he lies in bed. Lorenz wakes up confused, asking where they are, while Dana watches over him with a worried expression. Dana and Finn claim they found the boys passed out during a patrol for the Saintess. Dana tells Lorenz not to think too hard, suggesting he might have hit his head during patrol. Lorenz adjusts his glasses with a suspicious look, questioning what exactly he was doing last night.
Lorenz recalls spotting Dana going out and then meeting a man in the dark, mysterious forest.
Lorenz's face fills with intense focus as he prepares to demand the truth from his friend.
Lorenz directly asks Dana to identify the man she was with in the forest last night. A sudden, heavy thud sounding follows as Dana reels from the weight of Lorenz's direct accusation.
A sudden, slow stomp sounding follows as Lorenz insists Dana went into the forest past midnight.
Lorenz and Vert confront Dana, reminding her that best friends should never keep secrets from one another.
Vert's red eyes narrow with a terrifying intensity as he realizes they aren't believing Dana's excuses.
Dana panics internally, hoping they didn't see the Saintess's face or remember anything from the cave.
The two noble boys wait in silent expectation for Dana's explanation regarding her mysterious male companion.
Dana asks what they saw while thinking about how she was actually alone at that time.
A sudden sharp breath sounding follows as Vert and Lorenz question if they should let this slide. A sudden rapid thumping sounding follows as Lorenz shouts about ghosts while Dana calls them idiots.
The blonde Saintess claims the ghosts were actually ferocious wild animals and warns students to stay away.
Lorenz insists ghosts are real while students discuss the Saintess's explanation about the ferocious animal cries. The scene shifts back to the majestic white dome of the academy under the morning sun.
The blonde Saintess poses dramatically in a new white ruffled dress surrounded by blooming pink roses. Dana explains the Saintess's duty to lead trends with seasonal wear, highlighting the outfit's subtle reveal.
The blonde Saintess asks if her stunning appearance has left Dana speechless with honest, heartfelt admiration.
Dana quietly admits that the outfit is nice, catching the blonde Saintess slightly off guard.
A sudden loud gasp sounding follows as the Saintess reacts with exaggerated shock to the rare compliment.
Yana and Finn worry that Dana is feeling unwell since she is acting so unusually agreeable.
A sudden painful cough sounding follows as Dana clutches her chest, looking pale and physically drained. A sudden soft gasp sounding occurs as the blonde man asks Dana if she caught a cold. A sudden swift grab sounding follows as Dana tries to leave for school but is stopped.
The blonde man holds Dana back, noting she is burning up and ordering her to skip school.
Dana insists on attending for her scholarship, but the blonde man questions her priorities right now. A sudden heavy thud sounding follows as Dana collapses to the floor, her consciousness finally fading. Dana's vision blurs as she hears her name called, her body feeling impossibly heavy and unresponsive.
The scene shifts to a large set of ornate doors, indicating a change in location. The blonde man watches over a sleeping Dana, blaming her illness on being soaked for too long.
The blonde man curses under his breath, his face filled with visible frustration and genuine concern.
A sudden rhythmic breath sounding follows as he gently touches Dana's forehead while she rests.
Hateful graffiti covers a student's pencil case, reflecting the harsh bullying the girl once endured.
The brown-haired girl watches silently as her classmates laugh about the theft of her belongings.
A simple message against a dark background encourages the girl to hold on a bit longer.
Various characters are featured in a notice regarding the translation and the community's support.
A sudden loud honk sounding erupts from the street outside a dark, lonely apartment window.
Dana studies through her illness while an angry neighbor shouts for her to keep quiet.
A sudden soft rustle sounding follows as Dana pulls a gray hood over her head.
Dana's eyes reflect a deep, haunting exhaustion as she continues her studies late at night.
A sudden wet drip sounding follows as blood falls from Dana's nose onto her exam preparations. In a school hallway, students discuss their plans to relax and their hatred for the academy. Dana stands alone in the shadows of the school, her posture suggesting a profound sense of isolation. A sudden sharp gasp sounding follows as Dana's amber eyes flare with a moment of intensity.
A sudden quick tap sounding follows as someone reaches for a textbook on a cluttered desk.
A sudden sharp shout sounding follows as a classmate calls out to Dana in the hallway. Two students mock Dana for packing her workbooks, questioning her obsession with her studies. The bullies continue their verbal assault, mocking Dana's orphan status and her miserable way of living.
Dana zips her backpack and tries to convince herself that she will be all right.
Notes count down the days to her final exam, representing her only hope for change.
A sudden loud honk sounding follows as headlights cut through the heavy dark rain. A sudden violent crash sounding occurs as Dana is struck by a car in the street.
Dana's world shatters as she realizes she can no longer endure the weight of her life. A sudden wet splash sounding follows as Dana's workbook falls into a puddle on the road.
Dana wakes up in a lavish room, finding the blonde nobleman waiting by her bedside.
He informs her she slept all day and commands her to stay in bed and recover.
Dana argues that she must attend school for her scholarship, but he forbids her from leaving.
He dismisses her health concerns as trouble for his dignity. Dana insists she is perfectly fine. A sudden, heavy sigh sounding follows as the blonde man looks away in utter exasperation. He questions the importance of a measly scholarship, deeply wounding Dana's pride with his words. Dana is horrified by his casual mockery of the money she needs to survive. A sudden, sharp breath sounding follows as Dana's gaze turns cold and confrontational. Distant memories of her past struggles bleed into her current reality as she stammers in pain. Dana looks at the blonde noble with a face full of misery and suppressed rage. A sudden soft sob sounding follows as she explains that survival is her only known path. She demands to know if he understands the life she has been forced to lead. Dana admits her life is foolish, but declares that her struggle is all she has left. A sudden, painful cough sounding follows as she explains the necessity of her desperate actions. Dana reveals her exhaustion and her secret wish to simply stop fighting for once. A sudden, tight grab sounding follows as she asks if he truly believes she wants this. Dana tells him that her circumstances are none of his business, her expression pained. She accuses the noble boy of having lived a life where every wish was granted. A sudden, sharp gasp sounding follows as Dana turns her head away in shame and anger. A sudden, heavy stomp sounding follows as the blonde man turns his back to her. Dana looks on in silence as the blonde man questions his own harsh choice of words. He asks if she is finished speaking, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. He admits he doesn't know her life and has never lived as pitifully as her. The blonde man claims that as a noble he could never understand a commoner's life. Dana's eyes widen as he mentions that her disrespectful outburst is technically an act of blasphemy. He looks at her with blue eyes, stating there is a correction he must make. The blonde nobleman begins to smile, surprising Dana with his sudden change in tone. He notes that raising one's head high despite such misery is a rare and difficult feat. Dana's eye widens in pure shock as she processes the blonde noble's unexpected confession. Dana's gaze softens with confusion as she tries to understand the man's hidden struggles. The blonde man angrily denies mistreating patients, but Dana mutters he has done so before. He flicks her forehead, assuming she thinks his life is just luxury and carefree indulgence. He claims he is only acting as a stand-in, much like a clown performing for others. Dana admits she has her own secrets, but wonders why he chose to tell her. He turns away in a flustered huff, regretting the decision to share his private matters. A sudden rhythmic breath sounding follows as he tells her to stop mumbling and sleep. He explains he forged her absence as Saintess work because her scholarship talk was annoying. He mocks her for fainting from water, but tells her to take better care now. The blonde man stares down at Dana with a look of intense, quiet contemplation. Dana gazes back at him in silence, her expression filled with a strange, new curiosity. Dana reflects on her feeling of being a perpetual outsider who never truly belonged anywhere. Dana stands alone as the world around her moves in a hazy, disconnected blur. Dana feels her life has been nothing more than a scripted movie or a novel. Dana looks up with a renewed sense of purpose despite the bright, blinding light overhead. The scene shifts as the blonde Saintess walks away, her white dress fluttering behind her. The blonde man glances back, his blue eyes reflecting a deep and unspoken internal conflict. Dana's eye shimmers with light as she considers the possibility of a shared understanding. A close-up of a bright blue eye transitions into a view of the clear sky. Dana and the blonde noble stand together under a vast and glowing morning horizon. A sudden soft chirp sounding follows as a maid asks if Dana's already awake. Dana tells Yana she feels perfectly fine, while the maid mentions the young master's worry. A sudden sharp creak sounding follows as the blonde man enters and asks if she survived. He checks Dana's forehead for a fever, his expression still carrying a hint of annoyance. A sudden soft gasp sounding occurs as he leans in closer to inspect her forehead again. He declares her fever gone and tells her she is back on duty starting today. The blonde man laughs loudly, warning Dana that he will work her to the bone today. Yana calls out to Dana, who is clearly bewildered by the noble's sudden energy shift. A sudden sharp shout sounding follows as Dana clutches her head in a state of confusion. The scene transitions to the Grand Academy building standing tall under a clear morning sky. 3 fellow students corner Dana with high energy, excited to see her back at school. The students explain they need a replacement for an important social party and beg her to join. Dana declines the invitation, saying she is not interested in parties and lacks a dress. The red-haired girl insists she should attend to network with high-tier men at the party. The girls explain their humble origins and their need to socialize to help their respective families. The blonde-haired girl tearfully begs Dana to attend so they can fulfill the group requirement. She declares that Dana is the only person she can possibly turn to for help. The girls beg for a favor, asking if it is truly impossible for Dana to attend. Dana wavers when they mention the hotel's premium desserts and the all-you-can-eat buffet style. Dana's eyes widen with sudden interest as she confirms she can just eat and leave. The students cheer in triumph, calling Dana their savior and angel for agreeing to go. The girls promise to lend Dana a dress and help her get ready right after class. The scene shifts back to the Academy Tower stretching up toward the bright sunny clouds. The blonde Saintess reviews the outing request form with a look of skepticism and suspicion. She questions if Dana truly has female friends, remembering her claim of needing no one. The Saintess tells Yana she is a generous employer who won't stop Dana from socializing. Yana notes the hotel has tight security while the Saintess worries about a different matter. A sudden soft gasp sounding follows as the Saintess realizes the party's a meetup. A sudden sharp breath sounding follows as Yana prepares to explain what a meetup is. The blonde Saintess is horrified by the description of the gathering as a place for impulsive desires. Ayana confirms the intel about the party venue, suggesting Dana is at an age for romance. Iana jokes about blonde Zaina needing a break from crossdressers, causing the Saintess significant irritation. Iana looks closely at the blonde Saintess, asking if she is truly okay with Dana's outing. The blonde Saintess's eye reflects sudden worry as Iana mentions Dana finding another man. The Grand Hotel venue glows warmly as the social gathering of the Academy begins inside. Dana's classmates from the Chloris Academy giggle with excitement as they enter the social gathering. In a lavish hall, students enjoy compliments from men while Dana watches from a distance. Dana eats a strawberry dessert alone, regretting her decision to attend the overwhelming social event.
Dana reflects on her past life's unfulfilled desires to experience the vibrant college social scene. Feeling satisfied after her meal, Dana decides to sneak out of the noisy social gathering unnoticed. Dana stops suddenly as someone calls out for her to wait before she can leave.
A purple-haired man addresses Dana as Miss Rolang, asking why she is leaving so early. Dana mentions her studies while the man mockingly praises her diligence, making her feel uncomfortable.
With a mocking smile, the purple-haired man questions if all commoners are as diligent as her.
The man grabs Dana's arm, insulting her background while she tries to take her leave.
The purple-haired man leans in close, declaring that he actually finds her somewhat interesting.
He shamelessly suggested Dana should feel grateful for the chance to become his secret lover.
Dana's face shadows with intense anger as she listens to the man's insulting and condescending offer. A sudden violent smash sounding occurs as a heavy bouquet strikes the man's head from above. A sudden heavy thud sounding follows as the purple-haired man collapses to the ground in pain. A sudden heavy stomp sounding follows as a white boot pins the man to the floor. An unseen voice expresses surprise at the man's noisy and pathetic fall.
The mysterious voice mockingly asks if the man's foot simply slipped during his display.
The blonde Saintess towers over the fallen man, her expression cold as she exerts her dominance. Dana is bewildered by the Saintess's arrival, but the blonde claims she's visiting a church property.
Moblet Gordon introduces himself, expressing great honor at meeting the famous Saintess.
He desperately begs for a handshake, but the blonde Saintess looks down at him with disgust.
A sudden soft scoff sounding follows as the blonde Saintess prepares a biting and haughty response.
The blonde Saintess haughtily questions if she should shake hands with someone as lowly as him.
Moblet apologizes profusely, claiming he was just curious and got carried away.
The blonde Saintess mocks his obsession with status while Dana watches the confrontation with silent shock. A close-up of the Saintess reaching out highlights the contrast between her power and Moblet's cowardice. The blonde Saintess takes Dana's hand firmly, leading her away from the disgraced purple-haired noble.
Dana gazes at the Saintess with a look of pure confusion and dawning realization.
Moblet tries to offer an excuse, but the blonde Saintess dismisses him with a simple question.
The blonde Saintess's blue eye flashes with a cold light as she commands Moblet to leave. A sudden quick scamper sounding follows as Moblet runs away in terror from the Saintess's wrath.
The blonde Saintess insults Dana's taste in men, while Dana tries to defend her true intentions. The blonde Saintess's expression softens slightly, though her eyes still carry a hint of lingering frustration.
Dana's eye reflects a moment of deep contemplation as she processes the Saintess's strange protective behavior.
A sudden quick whoosh sounding follows as the scene blurs with the blonde Saintess's decisive action. The blonde Saintess tosses Dana over her shoulder, announcing their departure while Dana protests in shock.
Dana's world spins as she finds herself being carried away by the powerful and persistent Saintess. The blonde Saintess marches away with Dana over her shoulders. The chapter comes to a close.
A sudden soft dandle sounding follows as Dana asks to be put down by the Saintess. The blonde Saintess's face burns with a deep, hidden blush as she avoids meeting Dana's gaze. Dana looks up at the blushing Saintess as sudden insightful realization beginning to take hold.
The blonde Saintess's blue eyes widen with embarrassment as she struggles to maintain her composed facade.
A close-up of the blonde Saintess's eyes shows the depth of her internal conflict and fluster.
Dana catches the blonde girl as she stumbles during their quiet walk.
Dana asks if she is upset about something, noting her previous display of anger. The blonde girl remains silent, prompting Dana to wonder about the sudden quietness.
Chibibella huffs and blames her behavior on a strictly enforced non-disclosure agreement.
A rustle sounding follows as Verdio suddenly appears, startling Dana and the Saintess. Dana is startled by Verdio's sudden appearance and asks why he is here. Verdio admits he followed them from the classroom after hearing about their meeting location. Verdio explains he hid at the entrance and Dana suggests they return together. Bella looks on with suspicion, questioning Verdio's odd behavior and his sudden intrusion. A close-up of a blue eye conveys Bella's internal contemplation of a hypothetical scenario. Verdio gazes at Dana with a gentle smile as the warm sunset fades away. A tall blonde man stands against a dark background, looking away with somber eyes. I understand. Please provide the text you would like me to read. I will read it back with a faster speed. The scene shifts to the grand architecture of Chloris Academy under a clear sky. A large chalkboard announcement reveals the upcoming Chloris Academy Play Festival in 30 days. The monocled boy explains that students will lead the traditional festival for visiting guests. While students gossip about the class president, a finger demands silence for the announcement. The festival play is revealed as Romeo and Julieta, a tragedy of forbidden love. Dana reviews the script, noting its striking similarity to a story from her past. The script features a happy ending where the goddess Chloris revives the fallen lovers. The class president announces the Saintess will play the goddess, much to Dana's surprise. A vibrant announcement prepares to reveal the main roles assigned for the play festival. Chloe boasts that her wealth can secure her any title or role she desires. Lopez claims the villain role, while Dana notes his natural fit for malicious characters. A shout sounding accompanies Verdio's panic protest as he tries to stop the proceedings. Verdio reacts with utter horror upon discovering he has been cast as the lead. The girls insist Verdio's handsome looks make him the perfect choice for a romantic lead. Other boys concede as Verdio is told he must be the face of the class.
A smash sounding follows as Verdio leaps out a window to escape his role. Chloe warns that fleeing won't work since missing the festival leads to immediate expulsion.
Dana is relieved to be assigned to props, considering it a relatively easy task. Narration explains that most students prefer lead roles to impress high-ranking nobles and parents.
Dana and Finn discuss how the festival serves as a test for noble children's abilities. Dana notices an increase in unauthorized individuals, which Finn attributes to the festival commotion.
Finn is covered in blood while insisting she can handle the situation on her own.
Dana asks Finn about her past, suspecting her skills far exceed those of an attendant. Finn offers a small smile and agrees to share her history with young Lady Dana.
An ominous background of thorns accompanies Finn's revelation that she originated from the slums.
Flashback shows a young Finn surviving by doing anything for money, even dangerous tasks. A young, bandaged Finn holds a sharp blade ready to strike a target at night. The text emphasizes that in the past, Finn truly had no limits to her actions. The narrative continues, stating that she was willing to do absolutely anything to survive. Finn recalls being subdued by the young master after a desperate struggle in the dark. A dark and textured background reflects Finn's belief that her life was finally over. A clink sounding follows as the young master easily kicks the dagger from Finn's hand. A bright light accompanies a surprising offer of even more payment for a new job. The blonde young master offers Finn a position, marking the start of their work together.
Finn explains that the young master also provided roles for her former gang of thugs.
Chibi Finn clarifies that while they are siblings in spirit, they are not blood-related. Dana wonders if the Saintess has been involved in acting even before the academy. Iana explains that the young master has acted as a stand-in Saintess since the age of 14. She encourages Dana to tolerate his eccentricities while casually criticizing his careless and strange personality. The scene shifts to the grand interior of a high-ceilinged hall adorned with ornate balconies. A student brandishes a wooden sword during a rehearsal while the Chibi Saintess provides the narration. Verdio causes a comedic scene by departing from the script and dramatically acting out a suicide. The red-haired girl sighs over the failed rehearsal, suggesting they might need a new lead actor. A sudden quick swipe sounding follows as a hand reaches down to retrieve the theater script. Dana reads the lines with focused intensity, her expression transforming as she takes the performance seriously. She approaches Verdio on the quiet stage, ready to begin their joint rehearsal of the play. Close-up of Verdio's red eyes reflecting his surprise and a deep blush at Dana's sudden proximity. He removes his hood, looking flustered and handsome as he gazes directly into Dana's eyes. The red-haired girl and her classmates are amazed by Verdio's perfect and emotive line delivery. She notes his sudden motivation, while Verdio tries to claim it is only because of his partner. The red-haired girl asks Dana to be Verdio's permanent practice partner until the festival begins. Dana is confused by the request, while others wonder if Verdio even wants to participate anymore. Verdio loudly declares his desire to practice with Dana, shocking everyone with his sudden, desperate enthusiasm. He claims he will get used to the stage with her help, while Dana reluctantly agrees.
The red-haired girl holds a fan, announcing the most important part of the play for them.
A sudden, sharp realization follows as she declares they must practice the play's scripted kiss scene. She remains persistent about the scene's importance while Dana and Verdio react with visible, intense shock. Close-up of the two students sharing a moment of silent, wide-eyed dread following the announcement. The Grand Academy Theater building stands tall as the setting for their private and upcoming practice. Inside, Chibi Dana thinks about the tragic fate of Romeo and the upcoming poison scene. Dana suggests faking the kiss to make the audience believe it without actual physical contact. Verdio places his hands on Dana's face, his expression serious as they begin the delicate rehearsal. He looks down at her with a nervous blush, the silence of the theater amplifying his tension. The space between them vanishes as they lean in, their faces only inches apart in rehearsal. Close-up of Verdio's widened eyes as he struggles to maintain his composure during the close encounter. A sudden, soft tremble sounding follows as Verdio's hands shake while holding Dana's face. Dana notices his intense trembling and tells him to relax since they're completely alone now. Verdio repeats her words in a daze, completely forgetting his next line due to his overwhelming fluster. Dana reaches up to touch his face, trying to guide him back to the script's emotional flow. Close-up of Dana looking into his eyes, her expression soft and curious about his strange reaction. Close-up of Verdio's blushing face as he stares back at her with a look of dawning affection. Dana explains that practicing this way will ensure they face no problems on the actual stage. She tells him not to be too nervous since the festival audience won't have high expectations. They lean in once more, the scene reflecting a growing and genuine intimacy between the two friends. Close-up of their faces nearly touching, capturing the quiet and romantic atmosphere of the empty theater. Dana's eyes reflect a flicker of realization as she notices the intensity of Verdio's steady gaze. Verdio is momentarily speechless, his mind clouded by the sensation of being so close to her. A warm and happy smile spreads across his face as he gazes tenderly at the brown-haired girl. Close-up of Dana's eye, which is now filled with a new sense of confusion and curiosity. A sudden rhythmic clap sounding echoes through the hall as someone interrupts their private practice session. The blonde Saintess stands in the theater aisle offering mock applause for their hard-working performance together. She smiles brightly, mentioning she heard the news about Dana agreeing to be the practice partner. The Saintess claims a maid is looking for Dana urgently, prompting the girl to leave the stage. Dana hurries out while the blonde Saintess watches her go with a hidden and calculating expression.
A sudden, quick tap sounding follows as a black heel strikes the ground, approaching the stage. The Saintess confronts Verdio directly, asking him with a smirk if he truly likes Miss Dana. He insists she is just his only friend, but the Saintess prepares to rephrase her ambiguous question. The blonde Saintess questions if Verdio considers marrying the commoner scholarship student named Miss Dana. Verdio is stunned while the Saintess claims Dana belongs solely to her as a guard. She wonders if Dana's kind nature gave the prince false hope regarding their personal relationship. The Saintess questions if the crown prince is merely flirting with a commoner for entertainment. Verdio is shaken that his hidden identity is known by the influential and blonde Saintess. The Saintess's blue eye reflects her deep concern over the potential heartbreak Dana might face. A moment of heavy silence follows as she prepares to deliver a final and harsh warning. She visualizes the tragic distance between a prince and a commoner in their rigid world. The blonde Saintess asks if he is truly prepared to sacrifice his status for Dana. She warns that acting without resolve would only make the unaware Dana a truly pitiful victim. A close-up highlights her cold suggestion that both students should simply give up on love. A sudden, soft chuckle sounding escapes Verdio as he reacts to the Saintess's serious ultimatum. Verdio mockingly apologizes for his laughter while the blonde Saintess watches him with visible confusion. He looks at her with red eyes, wondering aloud what she finds so amusing now. A sudden low gasp sounding follows as Verdio prepares to reveal a secret of his own. He suggests that the Saintess possesses a much larger and more dangerous secret than his. Verdio claims to have noticed her true nature and secret intentions from the very beginning. He boldly accuses the Saintess of harboring her own romantic feelings for the brown-haired girl. A sudden rhythmic step sounding follows as Verdio declares he will abandon everything for Dana. He turns the interrogation back on the Saintess, questioning her own resolve for their friend. Verdio asks if she is capable of sacrificing her holy status for Dana's happiness too. The blonde Saintess is left speechless, her face shadowing as she contemplates his piercing challenge. The empty theater seats stand silent, marking the end of their tense and private confrontation. A sudden, heavy slam sounding follows as the prince departs, leaving the Saintess alone. A close-up of the Saintess's eye captures her shock at being seen so clearly. Elsewhere, Dana wonders why a man named Mr. Finn would be searching for her urgently. Dana recalls being excused from play preparations and wonders about the sudden and strange summons. In the sunlit hallway, Dana stops as a tall blonde figure calls out to her. The long-haired man introduces himself as the Grand Priest and the blonde Saintess's father. Dana is starstruck as the priest praises her academic achievements as an exceptional scholarship student. He mentions hearing about her unusually close relationship with his daughter, the famous blonde Saintess. The priest's expression shifts as he asks exactly how much Dana knows about the Saintess. He leans in with a sinister smile, his presence becoming heavy and intimidating for Dana. Their eyes meet in a moment of intense psychological pressure as the priest's smile widens. A mental prompt echoes his dangerous question regarding the secrets Dana might actually possess. The Grand Priest repeats his question, his voice dripping with a false and menacing sweetness. He maintains a suffocatingly close distance, his yellow eyes tracking Dana's every single nervous movement. The scene highlights their contrasting emotions, with Dana feeling trapped by the priest's intense gaze. Dana stands frozen before the high-ranking priest, unable to move under his dark, looming shadow. The blonde Saintess arrives suddenly, her face pale with fear as she calls for Dana. She pulls Dana into a protective embrace while her father watches them with mock amusement. The Saintess glares at her father with hatred, but he remains unmoved and smugly composed. The Grand Priest claims he only wished to meet the girl his daughter holds dear. He pivots to rumors of the Saintess's newfound freedom, his eyes narrowing with cold suspicion. He grips the Saintess's shoulder firmly, questioning if Dana is the reason for her disobedience. A sudden low whisper sounding follows as the priest expresses disappointment over her broken promise. He leans into her ear, threatening to remind the blonde Saintess of her true place. A horrific memory of blood and chains flashes before her, hinting at a traumatic past. A sudden sharp sounding accompanies a spray of blood as Dana watches in horror. A sudden violent push sounding follows as Dana strikes the priest to protect her friend. The Grand Priest looks down, muttering a hollow apology after being struck. Dana looks determined, stating that she needs to return to the temple immediately. Dana urgently leads the Saintess away as a sudden, quick step sounding follows. The Grand Priest touches his lip with a sinister and mocking hum. The night sky looms over the academy as Dana reflects on her earlier outburst. Sitting at her desk, Dana wonders if she overstepped by interrupting their family discussion. Close-up of Dana's eye reflecting her lingering doubt about the priest's behavior. Dana recalls the priest's terrifying gaze, concluding their relationship is far from normal. Dana is startled by a sudden voice calling out for the blonde Saintess. Dana questions Verdio about his false claim that a man was looking for her. Verdio dismisses it as a mistake, pivoting to a more important and personal topic. Dana explains she must memorize many lines tonight to keep her promise to Verdio. Dana recites her lines aloud, struggling to remember the next part of the script. Verdio stands before her in the moonlight, appearing tall and imposing in her room. Verdio offers to help, claiming that memorizing lines is easy for someone like him. Verdio leans over Dana on the bed, creating a sudden and intense physical proximity. Dana gazes up at him in surprise, her thoughts trailing off in the silence. Verdio looks down with a tender expression, calling her his love as he begins. A sudden soft whisper sounding follows as Verdio recites a romantic line about eternal beauty.
Verdio cradles Dana's face, his intense gaze deepening the intimacy of their private practice.
A close-up of Verdio's hair captures the soft, radiant glow of the moonlight. Close-up of Verdio's blue eye reflecting a depth of emotion beyond the script's words. Verdio's resolve hardens as a sudden heavy thump sounding echoes his internal commitment to Dana. Verdio's hand reaches out toward Dana's collar in a moment of heightened tension. Dana breaks the spell, nervously suggesting that his intense acting was a bit much. Verdio pulls back, telling her to practice some moderation and get some rest. Dana remains silent, her mind racing with confusion over the strange and charged moment. Verdio nervously adjusts his collar, his composure shaken by their close encounter. A close-up of Verdio's blushing face shows his silent struggle to maintain his cool. Verdio's hand grips his shirt tightly, his heart racing after the intimate rehearsal. A sudden, sharp snap sounding follows as Dana reacts to his overwhelming presence. Verdio is visibly frustrated, telling her never to play such intense jokes on him. Dana looks down with a deep blush, her expression filled with shock and embarrassment. Dana turns away quickly, leaving Verdio standing alone and bewildered in the room. A sudden heavy slam sounding follows as Dana exits, leaving Verdio in stunned silence. Dana wanders through the dark hallway, telling herself not to be swayed by him. She ponders his behavior, wondering if he is simply acting however he truly wants. Dana rationalizes that Verdio is probably just acting without thinking about the consequences.
She tries to brush it off, deciding to move on from the confusing encounter.
A vision of a girl in a blue dress appears, surrounded by a celebratory crowd. The morning sun shines on the academy as a cheerful greeting calls to Dana. Verdio arrives early to practice, surprising Dana since he is not a morning person. Verdio eagerly asks to practice immediately, his enthusiasm catching Dana off guard. Dana tells him to wait until after classes, leaving Verdio hilariously devastated and shocked. A floral wreath frames the announcement for the highly anticipated Play Festival Day. Colorful bunting stretches across the sky, marking the start of the grand celebration. A sudden loud bang sounding follows as fireworks explode over the Grand Academy Theater. Crowds of students and guests flock toward the theater doors for the day's performances. Dana is horrified to learn that the lead actress, Chloe, is bedridden with fever. The red-haired director explains that Chloe overexerted herself, leaving the play without a lead. The orange-haired girl notes that Dana is the only one who has memorized every lead line. Dana feels the weight of her classmates' stares as they look at her with desperate hope. Verdio looks at Lorenz with a serious expression as a sudden quick click sounding follows. Dana looks away with a bead of sweat, clearly uncomfortable with the sudden spotlight on her. Dana expresses her sincere doubt, feeling that the lead role truly doesn't suit her character. Dressed in a beautiful white gown, Dana looks uncertain while surrounded by soft pink flowers. A close-up highlights Dana's delicate white shoes as she prepares for her unexpected stage debut. The scene confirms that the scholarship student is now officially the female lead's primary stand-in. Dana looks forward with a mixture of fear and determination as she faces her new responsibility. Dana repeats her concern that the elaborate and flowery role really doesn't suit her well. The focus returns to Dana's elegant white shoes as she stands ready to begin the performance. The academy stands grandly as the crew panics over the female lead backing out last minute. Bella, the orange-haired director, declares that since things have come to this, they must act. A dramatic and sudden announcement declares that Dana must go on as the female lead's replacement. Dana reacts with pure shock and confusion, questioning why the decision fell so suddenly on her. Bella explains that despite writing the script, she cannot remember the lines she wrote long ago. Dana continues to refuse the role, insisting that she simply cannot perform in front of everyone. The director dramatically suggests canceling the entire festival since their only potential lead is refusing. The class pleads with Dana, mentioning their month of hard work and the long traveling guests. They point out that even the hard-working Verdio is fine with the change, encouraging her further. Dana groans as she finally succumbs to the overwhelming and collective pressure from her desperate classmates. The group celebrates as Dana reluctantly agrees, quickly moving to adjust the costume for her measurements. Dana stands in her costume, complaining about the uncomfortable hair extensions while the girls praise her. Lorenz is completely flustered, shouting about the dress's indecency, while the girls find him incredibly annoying. The two girls physically haul the protesting and embarrassed Lorenz away from the busy dressing area. Dana notices Verdio's constant gaze, nervously asking if her appearance in the dress is that weird. A close-up shows Verdio's soft expression as he begins to answer her self-conscious and nervous question.
Verdio looks at Dana with a warm and gentle smile, his red eyes reflecting deep affection.
Dana is caught off guard by his soft response, her expression filled with surprise and curiosity. Dana returns the compliment with a small smile, telling Verdio the regal costume suits him too. Dana reflects on the Saintess, thinking she would normally have interrupted their moment by this time. She recalls the Saintess's teasing and wonders why she isn't around to mock her today. A sudden, sharp realization hits Dana as she wonders why she is suddenly thinking about him. Dana wonders if she has grown used to his loud presence without even realizing it herself. A mysterious hooded figure with a cross necklace passes by Dana in a sudden quiet swish sounding. Dana stops in her tracks, looking back with confusion at the stranger who just walked past. Dana questions if that student is actually in her class, initially mistaking the figure for Verdio.
An abstract and dark background filled with web-like patterns shifts the scene's tone to something mysterious.
The grand theater interior is revealed fully prepared for the start of the Academy's major event.
The announcer welcomes the esteemed guests to the grand opening of the Academy's 500th Play Festival.
The stage curtain reveals the title of the highly anticipated play as Romeo and Juliet.
Bella takes the stage as the narrator, beginning the classic tale of the two rival families.
On stage, the black-haired prince is swarmed by over-enthusiastic fans as he begs for their help.
Dana stands elegantly on stage, lip-syncing to a romantic song about the arrival of fated love.
Verdio kneels before Dana in a dramatic gesture, gently taking her hand during their romantic performance.
A close-up captures the intimate and tender moment as Verdio kisses Dana's hand on the stage.
Verdio looks up with a soft and sincere smile, appearing completely focused on Dana during the play.
The audience reacts with hearts and cheers while Bella proudly praises her own unfailing eye for talent.
Dana experiences a fluttering heart, hoping that the play festival will continue as a massive success.
Dana delivers a stilted, monotone line about fated love, prompting Bella's internal critique of her acting.
The audience discusses the lead's commoner background while noting her surprisingly impressive stage presence despite her acting.
Dana stands elegantly in the spotlight, appearing focused as she prepares to deliver her next romantic line. Dana internalizes a newfound confidence, wondering if she actually possesses a natural talent for dramatic stage acting. As Romeo approaches, an audience member identifies him while Tybalt demands a sword from an attendant.
An angry declaration rings out, condemning the impudent fellow for intruding upon the Capulet family's ball. Tybalt, the Capulet leader who harbors a forbidden love for his cousin Julieta, prepares for a confrontation.
Lorenz breaks character to yell about Verdio touching Dana, forcing her to remind him of their roles.
Tybalt continues his aggressive monologue, vowing never to surrender his lady to such a gloomy, undeserving fellow. A sudden, sharp clash sounding follows as Romeo's blade stops mere inches from Tybalt's startled and shocked face. The director and crew panic as Verdio becomes too intense, shouting for him to stop the performance immediately. During the intermission, a flustered Dana worries that the chaotic first act has completely ruined the entire play. Act 2 commences with the narration that Romeo has been banished from the village for his actions. A stylized visual represents the deep divide and tragic separation now forced upon the two fated lovers. A sympathetic priest provides Julieta with a potion to feign death and escape her forced marriage arrangements. Tragedy strikes as Romeo, missing the explanation, drinks poison while mourning his seemingly deceased lover, Julieta. Dana delivers her lines in a stilted manner as she discovers her lover's body upon waking up.
Dana prepares to use the dagger while an audience member suggests just taking her to a hospital.
A close-up focuses on the radiant, golden hair of a new figure entering the tragic stage scene. A dramatic announcement heralds the arrival of the story's real protagonist as the climax finally approaches. The Saintess appears in a brilliant glow, drawing ecstatic cheers and tears from the long-waiting audience members. Dedicated fanboys weep with joy while frantically capturing photographs of the Saintess's legendary and dazzling beauty. Overwhelmed by excessive flash photography, the Saintess struggles while Dana remarks on the audience's wild, repetitive reaction. A close-up of Dana's face captures her sudden confusion as something unexpected happens on the stage. Dana notices a student playing a priest approaching at the wrong time, deviating from the established script. The sinister figure reveals his plan to expose the Saintess as a fraud to the entire world. The mysterious man raises a flash smoke bomb, catching everyone on stage completely off guard. A sudden bright flash sounding follows as the bomb detonates, filling the grand theater with thick smoke. The audience reacts in shock, realizing that a flash smoke bomb has just been used during the performance. Dana realizes with dread that the intruder is not a student, but an assassin targeting the Saintess. The assassin grabs Dana from behind, telling her it is already too late to stop his plan. The intruder explains that the smoke contains a magic-canceling potion designed to reveal the target's true form. Dana looks on in horror as the audience wonders what is happening in the middle of the play. A blinding light erupts through the smoke, signaling an unexpected and powerful event on the stage. A muscular, shirtless man with blonde hair stands with his back turned, bathed in a celestial glow. A suspenseful question asks if the Saintess's true identity is about to be revealed to the public. The assassin maintains his grip on Dana, repeating his sinister claim that the revelation is now inevitable. Dana reacts with wide-eyed terror as she witnesses the unfolding chaos from the assassin's firm grasp. The theater guests continue to murmur in confusion, unaware of the real danger manifesting before them. Tension peaks as the narrative promises the long-awaited reveal of the Saintess's hidden and true nature. The mysterious blonde man stands firm in the light, his identity still concealed from the watching audience. A sudden loud shout of no sounding follows as someone screams in denial during the stage chaos. Dana calls out for the Saintess as the smoke clears, fearful of what the potion might have done. The Saintess's appearance remains completely unchanged despite the exposure to the magic-canceling smoke, shocking Dana. The Saintess remains calm, noting that the wicked priest has finally revealed his true villainous intentions. Student guards capture the intruder while the Saintess points him out as the mastermind behind the tragedy. Continuing the play, the Saintess promises to restore Romeo's life as Dana watches in total bewilderment. Verdio remains fainted with swirling eyes, having succumbed to the light flash because of his physical weakness. The Saintess offers a subtle, knowing smile from behind her veil as she maintains her divine persona.
The Saintess tells Julieta she cannot resurrect the dead, hoping this teaches her to live a strong life.
The audience is moved to tears by the Saintess's wise words, while Dana remains paralyzed by pure confusion. The play concludes with narrative text stating Julieta forgot her romance for a happy life, while the audience offers historical praise amidst a quick clap-clap sounding.
As the audience exits, the brown-haired girl holds a prop wig while wondering if they can really end it that way.
A tramp sounding follows the blonde girl as she approaches the brown-haired girl backstage, noting it is fortunate no commotion occurred.
The blonde character explains that the audience could not hear the dialogue over the noise, while a narrator notes the microphone is hidden in her clothes.
Her relief is felt in a sudden phew, sounding as the blonde character lifts the veil and complains that the costume is stifling.
The brown-haired girl looks down and lets out a sudden gasp of surprise after noticing something unexpected about the blonde character's physical form.
Horrified, the brown-haired girl wonders if the Saintess was originally like that, quickly realizing that the person before her is actually a man.
The brown-haired girl questions if makeup could truly be used to create such a convincing and confusing visual deception.
The blonde man offers a soft, mysterious chuckle while holding a hand to his chin as if enjoying the girl's confusion.
The blonde man leans in and asks the brown-haired girl to take good care of his brother, leaving her looking intensely determined.
A quick swish sounding follows the girl's turn as she finds a whoosh-sounding empty hallway and wonders about the mention of a brother.
A frantic cry for Dana interrupts her thoughts as the blonde girl and the girl with braids rush toward her to check if she is okay.
The brown-haired girl asks the blonde girl why she is here, questioning if she was not just standing beside her a moment ago. While gathered in a lounge, the blonde man explains that the person who was previously with the brown-haired girl was not actually him. The blonde man reveals that the person was his younger sister, Yana, the real Saintess, much to the brown-haired girl's utter shock. The blonde man explains he was trapped in a temple until right before the play, a sudden clank sounding emphasizing the locked door. Flashback shows a rattle sounding as the blonde man shakes the locked door, demanding to know who has trapped him inside the temple.
A close-up of a blue eye accompanies a mysterious command from someone on the other side of the door to stay put. The blonde man freezes in recognition of the voice, wondering if it could belong to his missing younger sister.
A hooded girl at the door identifies herself as Ayana and promises she will help her brother as he calls out her name.
The blonde man eventually headed for the theater after escaping his confinement with the help of the girl with braids.
The girl with braids explains she was also trapped in the storeroom, while the man concludes that Ayana must have been watching them for some time. The brown-haired girl looks thoughtful as she asks for the true identity of the assassin who attempted to disrupt the festival play.
The girl with braids explains the assassin was a disgruntled church official, while the man is relieved his gender remains a secret.
The girl with braids cheerily claims she sent the official away peacefully, though the brown-haired girl remains silent in response to the blood-spattered news. While the man wonders how a magic dispelling potion was obtained, the girl asks if the real Saintess had not originally eloped with her lover.
The blonde man wonders why his sister returned to stop the assassin, suggesting the brown-haired girl should ask her when she finds her.
The brown-haired girl asks the girl with braids to quietly find Ayana's whereabouts without the church noticing while contemplating the blonde man. A chibi flashback highlights the blonde man's struggle with the dress and his angry vow not to let Ayana off easy upon her return. Looking at the blonde man's profile, the brown-haired girl wonders if the sibling relationship between the two is not so bad after all. A sudden gas sounding accompanies the excitement of students who are relieved the brown-haired girl handled the stage intruder with such skilled improvisation. Students celebrate the arrival of summer vacation, dreaming of beaches, travel, and binge-watching content while standing before the Grand Academy building. The brown-haired girl points to the final exam schedule, a sudden sounding of despair echoing as the students return to their academic reality. A soft hiss sounding follows as the boy with glasses adjusts his frames, declaring that the day of reckoning has finally arrived. The boy dramatically challenges Dana Rolang, his destined rival, to a true battle during the upcoming final exams as she looks on confused. The boy vows to show the dignity of the Lopez family's second son, while the brown-haired girl offers a tired, dismissive agreement. A quick humph sounding follows as the boy with glasses is interrupted by a servant announcing that Count Lopez has arrived at the school. A close-up of a violet eye captures the boy's shock and dread as he processes the news of his father's unexpected arrival. A glowing narrative bubble reveals that the father has come to the academy specifically to watch the recent play festival. The father stands with his back to the viewer, looking over the academy grounds while dressed in an elegant and formal long coat. The father praises the boy for leading as class president, while the boy bows deeply and offers his father sincere thanks for the compliment. A sharp gasp sounding follows the father's cold observation that he doubts the boy is his son after being outranked by a commoner student. A quick tusk sounding follows as the father turns away, noting that the boy's siblings always maintain top positions without any effort. A sudden thump sounding follows as the father picks a red rose and begins to speak about the true nature of beauty. A loud crunch sounding follows as the father crushes the rose, explaining that flowers only stand out when the surrounding weeds are cleared. The father stares coldly at the crushed remains, declaring that only results matter and that the process is irrelevant in the end. The father commands the boy to achieve results by any means necessary to avoid disappointment, demanding to know if his will is understood. The boy sweats nervously as he offers a quiet, reluctant agreement while his father's hand remains firmly planted on his shoulder. An oppressive and static-filled darkness surrounds the single heavy word, acknowledging the arrival and influence of the boy's father. The scene shifts back to the quiet grand library as a voice calls out for Dana, signaling a change in the atmosphere. Lorenz questions if Dana's obsession with first place is purely for the Academy Scholarship Fund. Lorenz offers to pay Dana several times the scholarship amount if she loses the exam.
The first day results confirm Dana is currently in the lead over the second place Lorenz. Two female students weep over their failing grades after a particularly difficult first exam day. The maroon-haired student fears losing her summer vacation to remedial classes as Dana listens quietly. Dana offers to predict the exam topics, prompting her grateful friends to call her an angel. Dana notes Lorenz's unusual silence and wonders why he hasn't tried to pick a fight. The Grand Academy Library stands empty and quiet under the warm glow of the afternoon. Dana sits alone at a desk, focused intensely on her studies for the upcoming final exams. A sudden quiet thud sounding follows as Lorenz approaches Dana's desk in the nearly empty library. Lorenz asks Dana if she's studying and then asks if she wants the scholarship money. Lorenz says he'll be direct while Dana explains her living expenses depend on the scholarship. A large speech bubble contains Lorenz's direct command for Dana to concede the exam's first place. Dana stares back in utter shock at the bold and unethical request Lorenz just made. Lorenz explains he needs honor to satisfy his family and proposes a deal for them both. Lorenz continues to pressure Dana, claiming that his offer is actually very beneficial for her situation. Lorenz extends his hand for a deal while Dana remains silent, processing the insulting bribe. Lorenz is left speechless as Dana flatly rejects his offer without a moment of hesitation. Dana gathers her things and stands up, telling Lorenz she is leaving if he is finished. Lorenz desperately grabs Dana's wrist, pleading with her to wait and reconsider his offer. Dana looks back with a cold, piercing gaze, telling Lorenz that she is deeply disappointed. A close-up shows Lorenz sweating and wide-eyed, shaken by the weight of her stinging words. Dana exits the library through grand doors while Lorenz calls out for her to wait. A sudden loud shout of "wait" sounding follows as Lorenz reaches out towards the departing Dana. As the sun sets, Dana reflects that Lorenz's offer was surprisingly honest for his character. Dana walks alone at sunset, worrying about her tight finances even if she wins the scholarship. Dana pauses as a single word hangs in the air, signaling a shift in her resolve. Dana thinks about how she must avoid groveling because she lacks what others possess naturally. Dana watches a happy couple, thinking she needs her academic success to maintain her dignity. Dana's expression hardens with determination as she prepares to face the final day of testing. The Academy's sprawling towers gleam under a clear sky on the morning of the second exam. A sudden soft clink sounding follows as a single chocolate is placed on a wooden desk. Lorenz hovers near Dana's desk, nervously asking about her exam preparation while avoiding direct eye contact. Lorenz wishes Dana good luck on her exam, his expression uncharacteristically soft and somewhat awkward. Dana watches Lorenz leave with total confusion, wondering why he is acting so strange today. The classroom chalkboard displays the afternoon testing window and a stern warning against academic cheating. A sudden sharp gasp sounding follows as Dana clutches her stomach in sudden intense physical pain. Dana struggles to focus on her paper, lamenting that her stomach hurts with problems still unsolved. The final rankings reveal a shocking reversal with Lorenz taking first and Dana falling to second. Dana's friend asks if she is okay as Dana blames her failure on leaving difficult problems last. The maroon-haired girl suggests taking Dana to the infirmary while Lorenz listens from a distance. Lorenz stops in his tracks, looking back at Dana with a shocked and questioning expression. A sudden, sharp clinking sounding follows as a small object falls to the tiled floor. Lorenz stands paralyzed in shock as the surrounding atmosphere becomes heavy with sudden crushing tension. A close-up captures Lorenz's face, pale and wide-eyed with realization as everyone looks toward the floor. The maroon-haired girl picks up a small golden vial, looking at it with intense suspicion. A sudden quiet murmur sounding follows as the girl identifies the vial as a powerful laxative medicine. The girl accuses Lorenz of using cowardly tactics again to sabotage Dana's performance on the exam. A sudden, loud shout of no sounding follows as Lorenz screams out in desperate denial. Lorenz frantically insists that he was actually being completely fair this time despite the damning evidence. Dana's attention is taken by the blonde boy standing in the hallway with a shocked expression. The blonde boy looks down with a pained expression after their intense and public encounter. Overcome with emotion, the blonde boy suddenly turns and flees through the academy doors. While students gossip about the blonde boy's tears, Dana remains lost in quiet thought. The heavy burden of losing her scholarship looms as night falls over the Grand Academy. The blonde boy approaches Dana in her room, expressing genuine concern about her future tuition. He stops mid-sentence, his face etched with intense hesitation as he tries to speak truthfully. Dana watches him with uncertainty, waiting for him to explain his sudden and uncharacteristic visit. Dana questions his intentions as he struggles to find the right words to address her. Dana lets out a soft realization as she begins to understand his awkward and protective behavior. A flustered Lorenz urges Dana to act naturally to avoid any future social awkwardness together. Lorenz dismisses the importance of her rank, unaware of her desperate and immediate financial need. Dana is taken aback when Lorenz cryptically claims her financial worries are now completely unnecessary. Lorenz triumphantly reveals that a new scholarship for second-place students has finally been established. He admits to using his authority as a Saintess' representative to keep her in school. The new funding, combined with her work salary, finally secures her long-term academic future. A sudden soft gasp sounding follows as Dana looks at him with wide-eyed and profound gratitude. Dana's exuberant and physical reaction to the news catches Lorenz completely off guard and flustered. Lorenz is stunned by Dana's rare display of pure happiness while standing so close together. The academy head's voice booms across the hall, officially marking the end of the term. As students celebrate their freedom, Dana quietly reflects on the start of her summer vacation. Her friend's cheerful shout breaks through her thoughts, signaling the start of their vacation plans. Dana is whisked away by her enthusiastic friends for a surprise trip to start the break. The scene shifts to a serene, sun-drenched beach as the golden waves crash softly ashore. A quiet, nervous voice breaks the peaceful silence of the palm-fringed private shoreline. Dana stands on the sand, marveling at the beautiful and unfamiliar surroundings of the beach. Her friend proudly announces that they have arrived at her family's extremely exclusive private beach. Dana pauses as she spots the familiar blonde figure of Lorenz waiting for her nearby. Lorenz stands by the water, looking uncharacteristically solemn under the brilliant glow of the sunset. A small purple-haired girl waves excitedly from the edge of the foaming and sunlit tide. Sitting together on the wooden pier, Dana questions why he has suddenly become so quiet. Dana gently pushes him to reveal the real reason for calling her to the shore. Lorenz stares intently at his folded hands, clearly struggling with a deeply personal and difficult confession. Lorenz clarifies his trust in her, admitting he no longer believes she was responsible for sabotage. Dana recalls his past habits, noting how his nerves often manifested as physical pain before. She looks at him expectantly, reminding him of a significant and heartfelt promise made long ago. A faded memory resurfaces of the two students standing together in their formal academy uniforms. The core of her reminder focuses on his prior vow to stop his deceptive behaviors. They sit in a long, reflective silence as the weight of the past hangs between them. He admits his brief suspicion, but acknowledges that her pride would never allow such schemes. Lorenz's gaze softens as he grapples with the regret of his previous and misguided doubts. Dana assures him that she has already smoothed things over with their mutual group of friends. A quiet apology finally escapes his lips, his voice filled with sincere and heartfelt remorse. He confesses his shame over his previous dishonorable proposal and the disappointment he caused her. He solemnly vows that his recent victory was earned through completely honest and fair competition. Dana's expression softens into one of genuine surprise at his heartfelt and very honest declaration. He watches her reaction closely, his face revealing his deep-seated fear of her final rejection. A profound realization dawns that their conflict was driven by far more than a simple rivalry. The tension between them begins to dissolve as they sit together in the warmth of sunset. Dana offers her own apology, admitting she was also overly harsh during their recent confrontation. Lorenz apologizes for his brief misunderstanding while Dana admits that she didn't care that much. Lorenz looks down with a deeply flustered expression, clearly embarrassed by the recent heartfelt interaction. A large, jagged speech bubble contains Lorenz's defensive shout, asking who said that he had cried. Lorenz claims dust was in his eyes because a man of House Lopez never cries. Dana tells him to stop shouting because he's going to burst her eardrums, then offers an apology while acknowledging that he didn't cry. Dana mentions that the chocolate he gave her was delicious, and premium chocolate certainly hits different. Lorenz holds out another treat, offering it to her as Dana wonders where he pulled it from. Lorenz tells Dana he has plenty more of those, so she should eat as much as she likes, to which he thanks him. Lorenz watches her with a softening gaze as she enjoys the treat he provided for her. Dana points to her lip and asks where the smudge is with a confused, wide-eyed look. Lorenz leans in incredibly close to Dana's face, telling her that it is not in that spot. The pair shares a quiet, charged moment together as the sun sets over the distant waves. Lorenz's hand slips from the wooden pier as the intense tension between them suddenly breaks apart. Lorenz falls backward into the shallow water, creating a massive splash that drenches him completely in seawater. Dana laughs at the soaked Lorenz as he sits in the tide with a shocked expression. Lorenz brushes back his damp hair with an effortless grace that catches the fading evening light. A small, jagged speech bubble contains a shocked exclamation of "what" as Lorenz reacts to Dana's teasing. Dana splashes water back at him, continuing their playful and energetic fight in the shallow waves. Lorenz and Dana find themselves face to face again, both looking slightly flustered by their proximity. A flustered Lorenz stammers that this isn't what he meant to happen while staring back at her. Dana splashes Lorenz again and shouts that whoever gives up first is the one who loses. Their friends call out to ask if they are playing without them and announce they're joining in. The girls gang up on Lorenz with water torture, declaring the loser must become the winner's pet while Lorenz protests that ganging up is unfair. Dana stands reflective while two small figures in the distance frantically call out for Lord Lorenz. Dana reflects that nothing really happens and notes she didn't even get expelled from the school. Dana thinks it might be okay to loosen up as the night air fills with laughter. The two friends laugh together while holding glowing sparklers against the dark night sky of the beach. Bella holds a sparkler and says it's been a while since she's had this much fun. Bella dreams of a handsome prince on a white horse, noting their classmates are hopeless, but Dana thinks they are still good friends. Dana wonders if those people exist in real life, but Bella insists luck favors the prepared and she might fall in love someday. A grayscale memory shows two figures in a play about faded love which Bella had performed. Dana eats her snacks while watching Bella, thinking that something about the situation feels slightly off. Bella raises her sparkler high, saying she'd be happy if days like this just kept going. A large thought bubble reflects on the joy of laughing and chatting about nothing with everyone. Dana reflects on the bittersweet realization that happy times often seem to pass far too quickly. The sparkler flickers out as Dana reflects that happy times always seem to end too soon. A single speech bubble hanging in the empty air notes that the light has finally gone out. Bella gives a tired smile and tells Dana she will head in and go rest first. Dana watches Bella walk away into the shadows of the camp, her expression filled with quiet confusion. Dana turns her head as her name is called by a familiar and very calm voice. The black-haired man places his dark coat over Dana's shoulders and tells her to put something on. The black-haired man looks down with a gentle smile as he mentions the chilly evening breeze. Dana is surprised that Verdio was there since she thought he hadn't followed the group today. Verdio tells Dana not to trust the people around her too easily, but when Dana tries to mention the exam and Lorenz, he cuts her off to say he knows it wasn't Lorenz.
Verdio states plainly that the one who actually tried to drug her was someone else entirely.
A large speech bubble captures Dana's utter shock as she asks, "What?" after hearing his revelation. The scene shifts back to the academy while Dana reflects on the baggage from one semester. Bella expresses her jealousy of servants while asking Dana if her own family estate is very far.
Bella asks if she is staying at the academy for breaks since she is the Saintess's temporary escort knight.
Dana stops the blonde girl, asking if she has something she needs to say to her.
Dana stands in the hallway with a somber expression as her eyes remain hidden by hair.
Dana stares ahead with a look of utter bewilderment and confusion as her world shifts. The blonde girl remains eerily silent, looking down as a heavy tension settles over them. A sinister smile plays on Bella's lips as she finally calls out to her supposed friend. Dina's eyes widen in shock as she begins to process a truly horrifying and unexpected revelation. An oppressive gray fog surrounds the realization that some secrets were meant to stay hidden. The dark truth surfaces as Bella admits her long-standing and intense hatred for her companion. Bella rests her chin on her hand, looking down with a cruel and mocking satisfaction. While eating, Dana decides it was better not to ask Lorenz about his mysterious possession of drugs. Bella continues her psychological assault, mocking Dana for her total ignorance regarding the girl's true feelings. The blonde girl looks on with cold eyes, hiding her malice behind a beautiful facade. Bella sarcastically notes that everyone adores Dana, mentioning her lucky appointment as the Saintess's escort knight. Bella criticizes the way Dana walks around with her chin up as if her success is natural. Bella aggressively grabs Dana's chin, declaring that she has always found the girl's presence incredibly irritating. A cold blue gradient marks a sudden shift in the atmosphere between the two girls. Smiling mockingly, Bella claims she wanted to mess with Dana to teach her an important life lesson. Bella warns Dana that not everyone likes her and that life will not always go her way. With a hollow excuse, Bella turns away and walks off, leaving a stunned Dana standing alone. Dana watches Bella walk away, her voice trembling as she calls out the girl's name. The academy dining hall is filled with the buzz of students finishing their final exams. Bella acts friendly again, asking if Dana got dessert while mentioning she is watching her own weight. Bella offers to save Dana's seat while the brown-haired girl leaves to go find some cake. Once alone, Bella's expression shifts into one of cold, calculating, and silent observation. Bella holds a small vial over a dish, a single drop of liquid beginning to fall. A steaming bowl of pumpkin stew sits on the table, unaware of the impending danger. A strong hand suddenly intercepts Bella's wrist, stopping her from pouring the contents of the vial. Lorenz stands tall as he confronts Bella, demanding to know exactly what she is trying to do. The boy with glasses looks down with a sharp and stern gaze of utter disapproval. Lorenz immediately recognizes the substance as a dangerous drug, his expression hardening as he confronts the girl. Bella dismissively tells Lorenz to go ahead and inform Dana, showing no remorse for being caught. Chuckling, Bella asks if it would be wise to tell Dana and ruin her focus during exams. Lorenz is visibly shaken as Bella questions if he is afraid of ruining Dana's academic success. Bella mocks their status, claiming her fate means little to a high-ranking noble like Lord Lorenz. A bitter narrative highlights how nobles from high-ranking families often excel at ignoring the struggles of others. Lorenz watches Bella leave, his expression filled with a complex mixture of worry and internal conflict. Later, Bella lies to Dana about the kitchen running out of cake while they sit together. A mysterious man in a dark hooded cloak stands silently within the academy's grand hallway. The hooded man's red eyes glow with intensity as the sun sets over the school building. A heavy door opens with a long and loud creak sounding, revealing the room beyond. Bella enters the dimly lit room and announces her return to the person waiting inside. A portly man sits drinking wine, ignoring Bella as she formally addresses him as her father. The man continues to drink greedily, a messy gulping sounding echoing through the quiet, tense room. The man roughly grabs Bella's face, asking if she gained weight while away at the academy. He warns Bella to fast, threatening that her fiancé will beat and discard her like his former wife. A sudden smash sounding follows as the man throws his glass, splattering red wine over her. The man spits insults at Bella, calling her a low-born commoner who overestimates her social standing. He dismisses her writing as worthless without his name, and Bella quietly accepts his cruel verbal abuse. Bella forces a bright smile, expressing false gratitude for being allowed to attend the prestigious academy. The man reminds Bella that she promised to be useful and marry well for his own benefit. He warns Bella to look flawless for an upcoming event to avoid bringing any embarrassment to him. Bella offers a final, submissive agreement as the narrative reflects on the circumstances of her birth. Reflection on the lowest depths accompanies a tranquil view of academy buildings at sunset. In the slums, a commoner girl survives by ghostwriting before being adopted by a playwright foster father. The portly foster father looms large, having made the young girl his hidden writing shadow. As the father achieves noble status, the girl's plays are published under his name across the empire. Nobles praise the playwright's words while he hypocritically credits his noble status, leaving the girl feeling small.
The girl survives by staying still and quiet, as seen in her intensely focused yellowish-green eyes.
A single wide yellowish-green eye captures a moment of intense silent observation and inner turmoil.
Bella and Dana walk together at sunset, two paths diverging despite their outward appearance of friendship.
Dana looks ahead with a neutral expression, unaware of the deep-seated resentment brewing within her companion.
Bella reflects on her forced smiles and how Dana's sincerity makes her feel unbearably insignificant and small.
A distorted, sorrowful smile crosses the blonde girl's face as she wonders about her own complex feelings.
Kneeling before a shattered mirror, Bella laments that there is no returning to her life before Dana. A sharp crunching sounding follows as Bella's bare, bloodied feet tread upon the scattered shards of glass.
Standing on a high balcony, Bella looks out at the moon, contemplating a final desperate escape.
A soft whooshing sounding follows as the girl looks down from the heights toward the quiet garden. Bella wears a small, tragic smile as she prepares to make a choice that cannot be undone. A sudden whoosh sounding follows as the girl's feet leave the balcony, falling into the night air.
In the blur of her descent, a final thought surfaces about her longing to be like Dana. Bella falls gracefully through the blue moonlight, her white dress fluttering as she nears the ground below.
A sudden sharp thud sounding marks the moment her descent is violently interrupted by an external force. A strong, desperate hand reaches out and catches the falling girl just in time, preventing the tragedy.
Looking up in utter disbelief, Bella asks what her savior is doing at such a late hour.
A frantic and panicked voice demands to know what on earth the blonde girl was thinking. Dana leans precariously over the railing, her face covered in sweat as she struggles to hold on. Gritting her teeth, Dana's eyes burn with determination as she refuses to let her friend fall. A heavy thud sounding echoes as the physical strain of the rescue weighs on the brown-haired girl. With a desperate cry, Dana repeats her question, her voice trembling with shock and intense fear. Dana's hands grip Bella's wrists with bruising strength, a lifeline anchored by her sheer force of will. A loud thud sounding follows as both girls collapse onto the stone floor, gasping for breath together. Bella asks how Dana arrived, only to hear that she learned the truth from Chloe and Siri.
A flashback reveals Dana's shock upon hearing news of Bella's impending marriage within the Grand Academy Hall.
Dana questions Bella's age, while Chloe explains that youth matters little in the world of noble society. Siri reveals the groom is a perverted viscount, sparking Dana's memory of Bella's past hatred for such men. A cast memory shows Bella rejecting an ugly suitor, asserting her notoriously picky and refined taste in men. Bella dismisses love as a childish waste of time, her face a mask of forced, hollow laughter. The blonde girl continues her bitter lecture, leaving her friends Sari and Chloe in a state of shock. Chloe begins to sob, unable to process the cruelty of the words being spoken by her friend. Dana watches the heartbreak, certain that Bella's harsh words do not reflect her true, hidden feelings. Returning to the present, Dana explains that she came specifically to talk to Bella in the garden. Dana admits she had to trespass to see her friend after being refused entry by Bella's father. Dana stares directly at Bella, asking if she truly wants to go through with this unwanted marriage. Dana suggests there is another choice, but Bella interrupts with a sharp question about what that could be. Bella sarcastically asks if Dana intends to fix her entire life and solve all her impossible problems. A chilling, mocking smile spreads across Bella's face as she looks down at the girl who saved her. A sudden snap sounding follows as Bella aggressively grabs Dana's collar, her eyes burning with redirected rage. Bella screams that the marriage is a business deal to pay off her foster father's massive gambling debts. Shouting, Bella asks if her opinion even matters after living off her family's wealth for so long. A flash of blinding white light signifies the emotional eruption and the shattering of long-held secrets. Bella holds Dana down on the floor, her despair finally boiling over into a physical confrontation. A distant memory of a promise about faded love floats in the background of their current miserable reality. Dana looks ahead with a shocked expression as she realizes the depth of her friend's pain. Dana realizes that Bella has been writing stories about the very tragedy she is currently enduring. A sudden downpour sounding accompanies the moment Bella looks up with a devastated and tearful expression. Bella admits that every beautiful story she has ever written was nothing more than a fake escape. A gentle rain tapping sound follows as Bella laments that her work is built on lies. Bella collapses in the garden, claiming that pretty stories about princes on horses are false hope. A heavy rain falling sounding echoes around the cold, empty balcony as the atmosphere grows somber. Bella tells Dana to leave, asserting that she is not going to die but cannot be helped. A quiet narrative note emphasizes that there is nothing more that can be done for her. Bella rejects Dana's presence, coldly stating that she has absolutely no need for her pathetic pity. The scene shifts to a grand cathedral where a voice begins a blessing over a union. A formal announcement names groom Vincent Harmon and bride Bella Lillian as they begin their vows. Bella and the Viscount stand before the altar as the priest prepares to finalize the wedding ceremony. The groom sneers at Bella, revealing he knows she wrote romance novels using a secret pen name. Vincent coldly declares that he will not tolerate a woman of his house writing trashy romance stories. The priest asks the congregation if anyone objects to the marriage or will forever hold their peace. Bella closes her eyes in weary resignation, thinking to herself that her time has finally run out.
A warm flashback shows Bella, Dana, Chloe, and Siri laughing together during much happier school days. A loud crashing sounding follows as the heavy church doors are suddenly thrown wide open by force. A desperate shout calls for everyone to wait, the voice echoing through the shocked and silent cathedral.
Guests whisper in confusion as Bella looks back, stunned by the sudden and loud interruption of the wedding.
Dana appears on a white horse, loudly objecting to the marriage while her friends support her.
Bella stares in utter disbelief at the sight of her friend crashing the ceremony in such fashion. Dana points at Viscount Harmon, declaring she has come to take the bride back where she belongs.
An overview shows the dramatic scene as the girls confront the groom and father at the altar.
Dana looks at Bella with determination, silently promising to fulfill the role of the saving prince. A flashback reveals Chloe and Siri teasing Dana about needing to be a prince on a horse.
Baron Lillian shouts in a rage, ordering the church guards to instantly throw the intruders out.
The Baron demands how they dare interfere with a sacred wedding blessed by the authority of the church.
A shimmering light fills the cathedral as a new holy presence makes itself known at the altar.
The Saintess announces that she has no intention of ever blessing this cruel and forced marriage.
As the goddess's representative, the Saintess declares she will not allow a forced marriage to continue.
A new voice condemns Baron Lillian for the filth of selling his own daughter for mere coins.
Lorenz reveals that the Baron stole his student's work and used his adopted daughter as a ghostwriter. A final warning states that the Baron's noble title will be stripped instantly if these crimes surface.
Baron Lillian stammers in terror, his face pale as his secrets and crimes are laid bare.
Desperate, the Baron grabs Bella and demands she tell everyone the marriage was her own choice.
He reminds Bella that he took her in when she was a beggar, ordering her to speak. Narrator boxes urge Bella to choose for herself instead of living a lifetime with dead, hollow eyes. Dana watches her friend with intense concern, waiting for her to find the strength to speak out.
Bella remains silent for a long moment, her mouth pressed into a thin, trembling line of conflict. A long silence follows as the blonde girl struggles to find the words she has kept hidden.
The Baron screams at the girl to speak while she realizes the truth of her own desires. Bella reflects that she has wanted to say these words to him for a very long time. A loud smacking sounding follows as Bella suddenly swings her hand and slaps the Baron hard. Bella tells the Baron that his breath stinks and his malice-filled face makes her feel sick. Both the groom and the foster father are frozen in shock at Bella's sudden and violent defiance.
A sharp smacking sounding follows as Bella strikes the Baron again, releasing her long-held bitter rage. Bella declares she doesn't want to spend another second with people who speak such filthy words.
A sudden tearing sounding follows as Bella grabs her wedding veil and rips it from her head.
Standing in her wedding finery, Bella looks down with a mixture of disbelief and newfound hope.
A warm memory surfaces of Dana, Chloe, and Siri standing together in the bright golden sunshine.
The four friends share a joyous embrace, their laughter echoing a time of pure, uncomplicated happiness. A soft rustle sounding follows as Dana, dressed in her prince-like attire, realizes she actually succeeded.
Bella worries about her future without her father's support, but the Saintess calls out to her. The Saintess offers a life-changing declaration, officially naming the blonde girl a church-sponsored playwright.
Stunned, Bella listens as Dana affirms that this prestigious honor is something she has always deserved.
A decorative banner marks the official start of the successful mission known as Operation Save Bella.
A quiet sniffle sounding accompanies Chloe's tears as Dana suspects Bella's harsh words were a lie. Dana rallies the group, suggesting they investigate the suspicious similarities between Bella's novels and her father's plays. The friends resolve to uncover the truth, looking toward the evidence that will set Bella free. Chloe eagerly offers her family's wealth to help fund their desperate investigation into the Baron's crimes.
The girls utilize the vast influence of House Lopez to ensure their evidence reaches the right authorities. Sari explains they worked all night to report the Baron's long-standing fraud to the Imperial Court.
Bella asks why Lawrence helped, only for him to admit her words about noble duty stuck.
A flashback shows Lawrence remembering Bella's bitter claim that nobles only exist to exploit common people.
Lawrence asserts his stance, declaring that it is a noble's solemn duty to fight against such injustice.
A lie to him sounding follows as Lawrence turns away, admitting he also couldn't refuse Dana's request. Bella turns back to Dana, questioning why she would go through so much trouble for her.
A heavy sob sounding follows as the blonde girl finally breaks down, overwhelmed by the rescue.
With tears streaming down her face, Bella looks up at her friend with profound, heart-wrenching gratitude.
A soft sniff sounding follows as Dana looks at her friend with a deeply concerned and empathetic expression.
The Grand Cathedral remains quiet as the weight of the day's dramatic events begins to settle.
A heavy sigh sounding follows as Vincent asks why Dana cares about someone who treated her poorly. A past memory shows Bella carefully applying lipstick to Dana, their faces close in a tender moment.
A soft maw sounding follows as Bella admires the result, telling Dana how pretty she looks.
A cheerful hee-hee sounding follows as Bella admits that doing this makes her feel like they're sisters.
Looking back at those days, Bella remembers the warmth she felt in that simple shared sisterly bond.
Images of Chloe and Sherry flash through her mind as she cherishes the friends who saved her.
Dana listens intently, her profile illuminated as she reflects on the deep bond they all share. A quiet thought surfaces that laughing freely with friends is more precious than any destined true love. A hazy memory shows the girls enjoying a festival together, surrounded by lights and sweet treats. Returning to the present, Bella looks at Dana, who humbly suggests she didn't really do very much.
Dana stares at her hand, which seems to glow with the same light that saved her friend.
Standing together in the radiant light of the cathedral, the two girls finally face a brighter future. With a determined look, Dana extends her hand to Bella once more, offering her a new life. Bella stares at the offered hand, her heart racing as she prepares to take her first step.
The detailed image of Dana's open palm represents the ultimate lifeline and the promise of freedom.
A single tear falls as Bella makes her choice, finally letting go of her painful, lonely past. A memory of a formal hand-holding mirrors the current moment, highlighting the change in their relationship.
The past fades away as Bella focuses on the hand that is currently reaching out for her.
Bella reflects on the path that led her here, finding strength in the friends who never quit. A pause vision of Bella walking alone serves as a stark contrast to her current supported reality. Dana's voice echoes from a memory, calling out to her friend and refusing to let her go. Dana looks at Bella with unwavering sincerity, her hand still held out in a gesture of invitation.
A quick dash sounding follows as Bella suddenly lunges forward toward the girl who saved her soul.
Bella leaps into a tight embrace, clinging to Dana as they stand together in the glowing hall. Dana confirms her dedication with a quiet yes, her eyes reflecting the absolute certainty of her choice. A firm clasp sounding follows as their hands lock together, anchoring them both in this new beginning.
Bella lets out a radiant laugh, her face beaming with pure joy as she finally tastes true freedom.
Bella gazes ahead with a newfound sense of peace and a gentle, hopeful smile. A flashback shows Chloe and Sari confirming a sacred blood-sworn pact among their group of friends. Chloe and Sari excitedly plan to dominate the literary world using Bella's romance writing in their wealth.
Sari presents a box overflowing with fan letters explaining how Bella's words deeply move her readers.
Floating text notes that while Prince Charmings may not exist, writers allow people to dream freely.
A soft haha sounding follows as Bella giggles, deciding to plan a concept for her next script.
A soft rustle sounding follows as Bella considers who will be the male lead for her upcoming story.
A soft peck sounding follows as Bella leans in and gives her friend Dana a surprising kiss.
Bella smiles brilliantly, her eyes shimmering with genuine affection as she gazes at her dear friend.
Dana is frozen in complete shock, her cheeks flushing a deep red after the unexpected affectionate gesture.
Lawrence is bewildered while Bella happily agrees to do whatever makes her friends feel most joyful. A sudden whoosh sounding follows as Lawrence expresses his intense agitation at the sudden romantic atmosphere. A heavy shove sounding follows as Chloe and Sari push Lawrence away for ruining the mood.
Bella lets out a joyful laugh, her heart light as she finally finds true happiness with her friends.
A narrator box reflects on the bitter belief that the world's protagonists are always pre-selected by fate. Looking back at her childhood, Bella reflects on her past identity as just another nameless, insignificant extra. Narrative panels describe a life lacking beauty, high grades, or even a particularly noteworthy or upright personality. A faded image highlights her belief that she possessed nothing that truly set her apart from others. A shimmering light marks a transition, emphasizing that her perspective has shifted dramatically since those dark days. Dana asserts that she refuses to be a protagonist chosen by the world, choosing her own path instead. Bella sits peacefully in the sunlight, diligently writing as she focuses on her new career as a playwright. Bella closes her eyes for a brief moment, savoring the quiet tranquility of her newly found freedom. A decorative book cover titled My Brown-Haired Prince Charming sits beside a quill, symbolizing Bella's creative spirit. A grumpy-looking Burr remains in the background, nursing a grudge for being left out of the group's plans. The academy stands grand under a clear sky marked by a banner announcing summer makeup classes. Bella turns around in surprise, noticing someone approaching her while she was busy with her own thoughts. A curly-haired student asks for a moment of her time, prompting Bella to wonder about his identity. The young man reveals that although he appeared frequently, no one ever seemed to remember his face. He explains that after her harsh criticism regarding ugly men, he worked tirelessly on his physical appearance. The student expresses his desire to offer a sincere apology for his previous rude and unrefined confession. Bella stares at him with a look of mild confusion, struggling to recall his previous encounter or words. The man acknowledges that she likely doesn't know him well and was likely caught off guard before. Bella continues her writing while sitting by a window, seemingly unaffected by the young man's sudden arrival. The curly-haired man looks at Bella with a gaze filled with admiration and a hint of nervous anticipation. He admits to being a fan of her novels, praising one particular masterpiece as a historical literary achievement. He continues gushing over her other successful works, unable to decide which of her masterpieces is his favorite. A sudden thump sounding follows as Bella, visibly embarrassed, begs the young man to stop his praise. He asks if his hobby is strange and requests that she consider his feelings despite his imperfections. Bella realizes her initial prejudice was wrong, as he isn't a noble looking down on her status. Bella turns away with a subtle expression of amusement, moving on from the awkward encounter with her fan. A quick click sounding follows as a camera captures a fleeting moment, the scene blurring into light. Under a full moon, a collection of Polaroid photos featuring Bella and Dana rests on a desk. A soft rustle sounding follows as Burr holds a photo of Bella, noting she hides a dark secret. Burr's red eyes glow with intensity as he reflects on the dark nature hidden beneath Bella's decent front. Burr looks at a photo of Dana, deciding that Bella is someone who should never be near her.
A soft rustle sounding follows as Bear reclines, accepting Dana's forgiveness while calling her incredibly naive. A thought bubble reveals that Dana's kindness and naive nature are exactly what Burr likes about her. A soft peck sounding follows as Burr presses his lips against the Polaroid photo of his precious Dana.
Burr resolves to prevent Dana from being exploited, remembering a time when they stood together in the past.
With a chilling look in his red eyes, Burr vows to keep Dana solely by his side forever. Resolve is voiced as 2 intricate rings rest within a small velvet jewelry box. Returning to her family's humble cottage, a chibi-style Dana happily announces her long-awaited arrival home.
Dana's parents, Daniela and Ronnie Roland, greet their daughter with overwhelming excitement and open arms.
Daniela immediately fusses over her daughter, worried that Dana looks far too thin and exhausted. Daniela stops in her tracks, noticing a tall stranger standing silently just behind her daughter.
A heavy dun-dun sounding follows as a strikingly handsome man with black hair and blue eyes appears.
A past memory shows a blonde Lawrence reacting with shock upon hearing about a mysterious report.
Lawrence explains that a woman matching the Saintess Iana's description was spotted in Donna's home village. He details his plan to find her secretly, explaining why the church must not be informed.
A warning about the dangerous high priest triggers a chilling, dark vision of the powerful religious leader.
Lawrence presents a vial of anti-magic potion, prepared to use it to neutralize any magical obstacles. Displaying a black wig, he explains that he will disguise himself as a commoner for stealth.
Lawrence smirks with absolute confidence, certain that his meticulously planned operation will lead them to Iana. A soft knock-knock sounding follows as a servant delivers a meal to the priest's chambers.
A heavy cough sounding follows as the servant hears a sickly sound coming from the bedroom.
A loud slam sounding follows as the terrified servant retreats, desperately hoping the young master recovers.
Hidden beneath the covers, a trembling Finn struggles to maintain his secret role as Lawrence's stand-in. Back in the village, Dana nervously introduces the disguised Lawrence as her fellow garden friend, Finn.
A heavy dun-dun sounding follows as Dana's parents stare at the newcomer with wide-eyed comical shock.
The parents instantly jump to the conclusion that Dana has brought home her future hubby.
A soft sparkle sounding follows as they are dazzled by the disguised man's statue-like perfect features. Ronnie remains suspicious, judging the young man for his polished look and lack of apparent manual struggle. A soft whisper sounding follows as the parents plot a secret test to evaluate their guest. With determined fiery glares, the parents decide they must ensure the young man is worthy.
Daniela politely informs Finn that their shop is currently in the middle of a very busy season.
She asks if he can help with deliveries, despite Dana's protest that they shouldn't make guests work.
Finn eagerly accepts the request, insisting that helping out is only right since he is staying there. A bright beam sounding follows as Lawrence enthusiastically plays his commoner role, leaving Dana completely baffled.
A soft whisper sounding follows as Dana questions his commitment while Lawrence enjoys his flawless undercover identity.
Chitty Lawrence smirks, arrogantly believing that carrying simple boxes is nothing compared to his usual imperial duties.
Night falls over the quiet village as the moon rises 12 hours into their workday. A heavy dud-dun sounding follows as an utterly exhausted Lawrence lies face down on the bed.
A feeling of being destroyed follows as he wonders if everyone in the village works this hard. A heavy thud sounding follows as even more heavy barrels are piled onto the delivery cart.
Daniela notes it is already late at night, claiming they were actually quite lenient with his workload. Dana urges him to quit and rest, but Lawrence stubbornly refuses to be seen as a failure.
Dana reflects on their long day of fruitless searching, deciding they must look more seriously tomorrow. A sudden freeze sounding follows as Dana asks Lawrence if he is worried about finding the Saintess. Lawrence looks away, his expression becoming serious as he ponders the weight of the task ahead.
A vision of a broken chain represents Dana's hope to finally end her substitute role. Dana waits patiently for a response, her expression soft as she looks at her friend.
Lawrence admits he has no reason to force her to stay once the real Saintess is found. Lawrence stares intently at her, a hint of unspoken emotion flickering in his bright eyes.
Dana processes his words, her face illuminated by the soft moonlight streaming through the window.
Sitting together in the quiet room, Dana agrees with his assessment as they share a peaceful moment.
A loud growl sounding follows as their stomachs suddenly interrupt the serious mood with intense hunger.
Dana admits the village dinner portions were far too small compared to the hearty academy meals.
Lawrence looks at her in shock, realizing they are both equally starving after their work.
Dana suggests heading out to the village festival's night market to find some much-needed food. A loud bustle sounding follows as the two arrive at the vibrant, light-filled village festival grounds. Dana and the blonde-haired man enter the quiet village festival as he discusses regional revitalization. He questions festival activities while Dana suggests snacks and performances, curious about his lack of experience. He explains his official death prevents him from appearing in public as anything but a Saintess. Dana reflects on the blonde man's long life as a double, never existing as himself until now.
She questions the necessity of his role as he reacts with a silent, somber expression.
He thinks of darker secrets beyond his fake identity while Dana looks on with visible confusion. Their conversation is interrupted by a shout from a local man addressing them as a couple. A food stall owner invites them to buy skewers, offering a special deal for the festival. Dana offers to buy snacks, noting it is just cheap food compared to their usual fare. A rustle sounding follows as the blonde man offers to buy everything, telling the shopkeep to keep the change.
A freeze sounding follows as the blonde man realizes he left his wallet behind.
A droop sounding follows as the blonde man deflates, leading Dana to pay for their food instead. A nom sounding follows as Dana enjoys a skewer, encouraging him to try eating on the street.
A shove sounding follows as Dana feeds him, surprising the blonde man with the casual gesture.
A flush sounding follows as he admits the food is good, flustered by Dana's kindness.
The shopkeep praises his looks, calling him a handsome lover boy from another village. He mentions a local beauty contest, leaving both Dana and the blonde man looking completely puzzled.
Fireworks explode as a loud boom sounding follows, signaling the start of the Goddess Rebirth Festival. The announcer declares the first event is the Mr. Liffer competition to find the most handsome man. He explains the goddess's love for beauty while an image of the first Saintess appears.
Participation is open to outsiders with judging based on crowd response and the village ladies' evaluations.
A loud woo sounding follows as the blonde man finds the ridiculous festival theme hard to believe.
A twitch sounding follows as Dana notices the winner receives a premium meat gift set. A gulp sounding follows as Dana stares at the meat, denying her obvious desire to win it.
The announcer calls for men confident in their appearance to take the stage for the competition.
In Huron, the village's only young man enters with a rose and a flirtatious pose. The elderly lady judges swoon with joy, holding up high scores for the first contestant.
A flex sounding follows as the butcher shop owner tries to keep the meat for himself.
A pow sounding follows as a woman drags the butcher off stage for his shameful behavior. The committee despairs over the lack of talent despite spending the entire budget on the festival.
The announcer cries about the village's doom, his honesty shocking the blonde man in the crowd. A gaze sounding follows as the announcer searches for outsiders while the pair stares at the meat. An arg sounding follows as the blonde man struggles with his pride and hunger.
A step sounding follows as the announcer notices a new challenger approaching the stage.
A wish sounding follows as the wind blows back his hood, revealing his incredible beauty.
The announcer gushes over his golden proportions and features brighter than the village's future.
A crack sounding follows as the lady judges collapse, overwhelmed by his godlike appearance. A woo sounding follows as the blonde man is crowned the winner and first Mr. Lifra. An ah sounding follows as the winner begrudgingly declares that it is a beautiful night. The women in the audience faint with smiles as the announcer calls for a quick break. A flinch sounding follows as the announcer notices the winner's blonde hair and blue eyes. A grin sounding follows as he concludes the winner's preparation matches the goddess's favorite traits. A shake sounding follows as the announcer thanks the blonde man for saving the festival. Lawrence reflects on being called a savior while wearing his new flower crown.
The wind from the hood triggers a sudden internal reflection as he stands on stage. A dark vision of a masked figure appears as he reflects on his true self.
He remembers being chained and imprisoned, far removed from his current role as a double. The elderly lady holds his hands, her warmth contrasting with his cold, dark memories. Sunlight glints off his blonde hair and flower crown during the peaceful, quiet moment.
A close-up emphasizes the blonde man's features as he processes the town's unexpected gratitude.
Standing on a balcony away from the crowd, Dana congratulates the blonde man on his victory.
Dana tells the flustered blonde man his flower crown is pretty and suits him perfectly. A soft shh sounding follows as light and flowers drift through the peaceful evening air.
The blonde man reaches out to place a crown of white flowers onto Dana's head.
Smiling gently, the blonde man tells Dana that she doesn't look so bad herself either.
A close-up captures Dana's eye widening in surprise at the man's unexpected and tender gesture. Dana's left speechless, her mouth slightly agape as she processes the man's kind words.
Shivering with chills, Dana asks if he is sick, prompting him to arrogantly reassert his superior beauty.
Dana notes his return to normal while the blonde man reacts with a stunned silence. Lawrence admits he enjoyed the outing, noting that it wasn't bad to leave because she asked. Dana shyly looks away, claiming she only came out for food, though she sighs softly afterward.
Lawrence smiles, noting she always helps others without realizing it while refusing to lean on anyone.
A vision shows Lawrence and Dana together as he reflects on how her stubbornness frustrates him. In the vision, a dark-haired man takes Dana's hand during a significant moment from their past. Lawrence begins to confess that he likes that specific quality about her as they stand together. He finishes his thought by looking at her, admitting his feelings as Dana stares in shock.
A close-up highlights Dana's stunned expression as she absorbs the weight of the man's confession.
Standing amidst the distant festival lights, Dana can only respond with a confused and quiet question. A sudden burst of white light represents a moment of mental clarity or a shifting perspective. Lawrence looks into her eyes and admits that he actually likes that part of her personality.
Dana remains frozen in surprise as the vibrant festival continues in the background far below them. The two characters stand in silence on the balcony beneath a vast, glittering night sky.
A flush sounding follows as Lawrence suddenly realizes what he said and covers his red face.
Lawrence panics, prattling about how he only meant she's a good guard and easy company.
He clears his throat with an ahem sounding, insisting she shouldn't misunderstand his appreciation for her. Dana reflects internally, doubting the man's assessment that she is actually a good person at heart.
Reflecting on her past life memories, Dana recalls choosing to keep her identity a secret forever. She remembers her mother and admits she hid the truth simply because she feared being rejected.
Dana questions if anyone would actually accept a child who possessed memories of a previous life.
A dark silhouette represents her fear that others would find her true nature creepy and unnatural. She worried she would be seen as a foreign body instead of a real daughter.
Dana felt like a thief who stole her parents' chance to raise a normal, ordinary child.
She decided to live quietly as a background character, yet Lawrence's presence changed her entire path.
A whoosh sounding follows as young Lawrence calls out her name, shattering her quiet, isolated life. The young man joyfully grants her the honor of becoming his personal bodyguard and closest companion. Dana reflects that since Lawrence entered her life, nothing has ever gone according to her plans. A memory of a past rescue flashes by, showing the deep bond forged between the pair. A system message notes that there is never a moment of peace when they are together. A whoosh sounding follows as Lawrence suddenly interrupts her thoughts, asking why she is spaced out. He jokingly asks if she has fallen for his beauty again while she stares at him. A fit sounding follows as Dana laughs, calling the man incredibly weird for his arrogant comments.
Lawrence is offended, complaining that he offered a compliment and only received an insult in return.
A transition panel emphasizes that things have changed, though some feelings remain constant and deep. Narrative text suggests that life would have been very boring if Lawrence wasn't this kind of person. Dana looks at him with a warm, genuine smile, finally feeling comfortable in his eccentric company. A badump sounding follows as Lawrence's heart races, reacting to the girl's rare and kind expression. An ahem sounding follows as a flustered Lawrence tries to regain his composure after his heart skips. He asks her to stop using his title outside, fearing that someone might notice their secret. Dana teases him about what to call him, jokingly asking if he has forgotten his own name. A soft shh sounding follows as Lawrence leans down toward her, closing the distance between them. Lawrence whispers softly, his blue eyes filled with a mysterious intensity as he leans in close. A badump sounding follows as Dana reacts to his words, her heart skipping a sudden beat. A bellow sounding follows as the announcer calls for the start of the Saintess stage event. A dash sounding follows as the pair hurries toward the stage to investigate the loud announcement. The announcer invites Your Holiness to the stage, framed by a decorated village building and banners. Lawrence and Dana look on with panicked expressions as the announcer calls for the next contestant. Shimmer and sparkle sounds follow as Dana wonders if the figure on stage is actually Yana. Both characters are frozen in shock, questioning if they are truly seeing the real holiness appear. A dudin sounding follows as three middle-aged men appear on stage wearing cheap blonde wigs. Dana and Lawrence are left speechless, realizing the contestants are just local men dressed in drag. The announcer enthusiastically declares that the highlight of the festival is the Saintess cosplay contest. Lawrence is outraged, calling the event blasphemy and wondering if the church authorized this ridiculous spectacle. Lawrence lets out a weak ha sounding, realizing the rumors were just for this bizarre village competition. Lawrence questions internally if he actually feels relieved that the real Saintess has not arrived yet. A flinch sounding follows as Lawrence notices Dana staring at him with a very baffled expression. A dun-dun sounding follows as Lawrence defensively denies staring just before a villager interrupts him. Villagers recognize the pair as benefactors and invite Lawrence and Dana for free drinks and snacks. Despite their hesitation, the villagers insistently usher the handsome guy and his guard to sit down. The scene transitions to a quiet night with a full moon hanging over a village cottage. A dizzy sounding follows as a flushed Lawrence leans heavily on Dana, reeking of strong alcohol. Stagger and wobble sounds follow as Dana struggles to help the drunken blonde man upstairs together. Dana regrets being distracted by food as villagers peer-pressured Lawrence into drinking heavy bomb shots. A fwop sounding follows as Lawrence collapses onto the bed while Dana offers to get water. A mutter sounding follows as Lawrence begs her not to leave, asking why she slips away. A whoosh sounding follows as Lawrence suddenly grabs Dana, surprising her with this sudden forceful movement. A bounce sounding follows as Dana falls onto the bed, trapped beneath the heavy blonde man. Dana is wide-eyed and shocked, unable to react as Lawrence pins her down on the mattress. A grip sounding follows as Lawrence tells her to stay still while Dana panics and protests. Lawrence leans in close and possessively declares that she belongs solely to him this night. Dana remains silent, staring up at him and wondering what kind of drunken nonsense he is saying. A pow sounding follows as Dana punches the drunkard, demanding he let go of her immediately. A murmur sounding follows as Lawrence complains about her using his title instead of calling him Ian. Dana sighs, asking if he will let go if she says his name while Lawrence nods. The scene remains silent as the two stay close together on the bed in the moonlight. A rustle sounding follows as Dana stares at Lawrence, her face becoming flushed with intense warmth. A close-up highlights Lawrence's peaceful closed eye as he lies still in a drunken slumber. A flinch sounding follows as Lawrence's hand shifts, tightening his hold on Dana's arm while sleeping. The two lie together in silence, their faces incredibly close as Dana remains completely frozen. A badump sounding follows as Dana's heart races, reacting to the intense proximity of the man. Lawrence's face is mere inches from hers, his nose almost touching Dana's in the quiet room. A grip sounding follows as Dana clenches Lawrence's shirt, her face turning a bright shade of red. A soft ha sounding follows as Lawrence exhales, his breath brushing against the girl's surprised face. A heh sounding follows as Lawrence smiles in his sleep, looking peaceful despite the awkward situation. Dana looks at him with trembling eyes, her mouth slightly open as she tries to speak.
A FWUP sounding follows as Dana questions his title while the scene begins to fade away.
Lawrence continues to sleep with his Z sounding while Dana asks if anyone is still there. A poke sounding follows as Dana prods Lawrence's cheek to confirm he has finally fallen asleep.
Dana sits up, looking at the sleeping blonde man with a deeply confused and annoyed expression.
Dana reflects on the night's events, wondering what kind of person would act so erratically. Chirp chirp sounds follow as morning light filters through the window of the quiet village rim.
Lorenz wakes with a groan, a wrestle sounding as he shifts under the covers in a daze.
A sudden and bright flash illuminates the room as he opens his eyes in complete shock.
Lorenz springs up asking where he is while Dana explains they are at her family home. Lorenz groans about a splitting headache as Dana offers water and questions his heavy drinking habits.
Lorenz recalls the village but wonders how he returned. Dana mentions she carried him back herself. Dana stares silently, her mind trailing off as she recalls what happened after bringing him home.
A flash of memory returns as Lorenz stares forward with a wide and focused blue eye.
Hazy pink and white lines flow across the scene representing the fragmented memories of the night. A dreamlike vision shows Dana looking up with wide shimmering eyes as someone gets incredibly close. A hand reaches out, a wobble sounding as it trembles against the fabric of the bed. Lorenz falls forward with a heavy crash sounding while Dana watches him with total disbelief.
Dana asks if he is okay after his clumsy fall, while Lorenz remains silent and still.
Dana begins to stammer a question, her face full of confusion regarding his strange behavior.
A close-up shows Lorenz's face turning deep red while he keeps his eyes shut in shame.
Lorenz looks up with a flustered, sweaty face, his bright blue eyes darting away in embarrassment.
Lorenz covers his mouth with his hand, clearly struggling to form any coherent words for her. Dana looks back at him with a stunned and wide-eyed expression, completely baffled by his reaction. A long silent pause hangs between them as they both avoid making any direct eye contact.
A nervous gulp sounding follows as Lorenz tries to speak but finds himself unable to continue.
Dana tilts her head in confusion, asking if he was simply having a strange and vivid dream. A creak sounding accompanies Dana leaving, telling him to wash up for breakfast despite it being noon.
Lorenz stands alone, touching his chin while contemplating the confusing and blurred remnants of his memory.
Dana stands in the hallway with a worried and blushing face, clearly shaken by the interaction. A slide sounding follows as Dana slumps against the door, relieved that he remembers nothing. A hazy memory shows the two of them lying close together, nearly sharing a very intimate kiss.
Dana exhales a soft breath, her face burning from the intense and hidden memory of the night.
A hand points toward the black-haired Finn as someone calls out for a serious talk.
Dana's dad, a round and short man, huffs while demanding they speak about the previous night.
The tiny father shouts at Finn for staying out late and sleeping in Dana's room. A loud bellow sounding follows as the father insists on being addressed with proper and formal respect.
A hand grabs the father's shoulder, causing a French as a sweet voice calls to him.
Dana's mother smiles through a chilling aura, suggesting they finish their private conversation away from guests. The mother asks if the hangover-friendly meal suits Finn's taste as they sit down to eat. Finn admits he is sober now, while the mother explains Dana rarely brings friends to visit.
Dana's mother notes that her daughter grew up too quickly and hates relying on other people.
The mother jokes about Dana living a second life while the girl flinches in the background.
Finn hears a soft laugh as the mother asks him to look after Dana at school.
Dana's mother gazes off with a warm smile, deep in thought about her daughter's independent nature.
Dana looks on with a surprised expression, likely overhearing her mother's kind and protective words.
Dana feels deeply touched by the conversation, her expression softening into one of sincere emotional warmth.
A creak sounding follows as Dana enters the room announcing she is finished with her packing.
Dana hesitates for a moment, her eyes filled with a sudden and quiet sense of longing.
Dana pulls her mother into a tight and very emotional farewell hug before she has to leave.
A close-up captures Dana's face buried against her mother's chest as she holds on to the embrace.
Her mother's eyes widen in surprise at the rare and uncharacteristic display of affection from Dea.
A gentle pat-pat sounding follows as the mother comforts Dana, reminding her she is always welcome.
A slam sounding echoes as the father shouts that he will handle anyone who troubles Dana.
The father glares at Finn, signaling he is watching him while Finn gives a nervous reply.
The sun sets behind the cozy house, casting a warm and golden glow over the scene.
A clip-clop sounding follows the carriage as Dana's parents wave goodbye to their departing daughter.
The brown-haired man suggests that Dana should try to rely on her parents a little more.
Dana looks up at the man and offers a simple, quiet agreement in the warm sunset.
A beautiful, radiant smile lights up Dana's face as she closes her eyes in complete peace.
Outside a grand blue palace, a voice calls out for the young master and Miss Dana.
The braided girl cries, exclaiming that her heart was nearly stopped from all the intense worry. While Lorenz sulks, the braided girl presents a letter that has just arrived for Miss Dana.
The group looks on in utter shock as they process the arrival of the mysterious letter.
An elegant gold-trimmed envelope sits on the table, sealed with a regal and purple gemstone.
The letter is a formal invitation from the Crown Prince for Lady Dana to visit.
A close-up of a blue eye conveys deep shock at the unexpected palace invitation.
Lorenz angrily wonders what Bertio is plotting while the black-haired man smiles from the palace.
Author Narion introduces themselves and thanks the readers for supporting the series through Season 1. A cute puppy character dreams of visiting the glittering and beautiful world shown in the manhwa.
The artist puppy works tirelessly at their desk, obsessively striving for even more visual beauty. While staff members measure a character, the artist puppy laments the constant need for new designs. A happy staff puppy diligently sews a gorgeous new dress for the Saintess's next grand appearance. The author shares their love for costume design and gratitude for all the reader's kind compliments. Two of Dana's most beautiful and stylish outfits are highlighted in detailed full-body character illustrations. A comprehensive collage showcases the wide variety of costume designs created throughout the first season. Feeling the pressure of deadlines, the artist puppy desperately clings to an assistant's leg for comfort. An angelic figure sends a message of thanks to all the dedicated webtoon staff members. Reading the reader's enthusiastic comments or requests for more chapters moves the author to tears. The author explains their heartfelt decision to create this special epilogue to thank everyone properly. The puppy character makes a heart shape with its ears to show its deep love. A subscription prompt features Lorenz, encouraging fans to stay tuned for the series' eventual return. The author introduces a final, beautiful, celebratory illustration sent to them by a fellow manhwa creator. Dana and Lorenz pose together in modern black suits to commemorate the successful season finale.
Chibi versions of the mean men hold up hearts to bid a final Season 1 farewell.